Maybe we should sing the Pledge of Allegiance. You want to sing the Pledge of Allegiance? No. Me neither. Ah. Case in point. All right, let's get started. pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All righty. Come on up. Would you do our prayer for us? Thank you.
Almighty and ever-living God, we do well always and everywhere to give you thanks and praise, and we're especially grateful for the gift of this night, this place, this time, this gathering, and all those who are with us. Pour out your Holy Spirit of blessing upon all who partakes. Guide us, guard us, direct us, protect us, anoint us, and use us in the works of ministry for this community. And we pray all of this in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. And roll call, please.
Councilmember Rubio,
Present.
Councilmember Roberts,
Here.
Councilmember Morganelli,
Present.
Vice Mayor Womack,
Here.
and Mayor Weinkoop.
Here. All righty. Let's see. Go ahead and move on to citizens' questions and comments. Anybody who'd like to talk to the council about anything that's not on the agenda at this time, come on up.
Robert Tomlinson, 16634 Magnolia Terrace, Montverde, Florida. Question I'd like to ask, Anita, question to you, if you could please, regarding the council personnel here and the mayor. Are they able to make a motion when they are speaking for themselves when it's time for them to talk? Can they actually bring up and make a motion? I know they can't make a motion during this session right now, but other than on the agenda, are they able to make an emotion for something?
No, we need to put it on a future agenda if they're going to take action.
Okay, so in other words, something that is brought up in the meeting that seems to be important or something like that, they could not make a motion on it and vote on it, then I take it, or on anything other than it is on the agenda. Is that how the proceeding goes?
That's how we try and keep it. There are certain things that you have to have advance notice of, and we need to make sure we comply with that. So we just always make sure they don't take action the same night that an issue is brought up.
Well, let's just say if a council person wanted to speak on their own when it's their time to speak and said, I'd like to bring this up for discussion for the council, and I'd like to make a motion on that. Is that something that could be done?
So if they want to talk about it, if they get a consensus, they can talk about it, but action would be at a future meeting.
Okay, so no motion could be made at all. I just wanted to make sure that we understood the precedent of having, of doing a motion on something.
Yeah, it
Okay.
should be on a future agenda.
So in
when
other
the
words, if
item
it's
is
not on the agenda, nothing could be voted on. Now, I believe I've seen
I
other.
can't say never, ever.
Because
I
I've seen
I'm not gonna
things
make
that
a
have
blanket
been voted
statement
on that
way.
weren't on the agenda
Right.
before. Okay.
There are some things that do, but we try and make sure that it's at a future meeting.
All right,
where
so-
it's been noticed.
If a council person or the mayor wanted to push that issue, how would that go?
It's going to be specific to whatever the issue is.
Okay, very good. Okay. Council, I just wanted to ask a question regarding the 2005 DEP report. Does anyone on council know why that report was initiated? Okay, no one knows on council why that was initiated? All right, let me help the council. It was initiated by the town of Montverde. And Dale Heathman at the time and the council literally were the ones that brought that on. That particular DEP report, unfortunately, the weather was bad and everything was flooded in the area that the dump was, so it was not completed. The second time that they decided to come back out, as you know, is if you got involved with what I had sent to you all to read regarding the dump. On 2019, it again was flooded and it wasn't able to do it. So 2 times the DEP were not able to actually conclude their particular report. And the report was mainly set up because with EPA and DEP were involved in that, and it had to do with the tower chemical barrels that we all have, drums that we've all discussed, and with the knowledge that no one has ever cleaned that particular dump up. So my question is I would like council, whenever they decide to talk on their own, is to set up for the next meeting to actually have a discussion regarding having DEP come out again and finish the job. As far as the person that you have that's the consultant, my opinion on that is a total waste of our money, because the consultant can't put an approval on that particular property where the dump was. Right now, no one has ever cleaned it up. There's no record of it being cleaned up, but there are records, that is factual records, stating that employees state that there are barrels there, and also residents have also stated in the report, which are facts, that there are barrels with contaminants in the area that Grant Roberts is planning on putting a track. That's 1. 2.
Got 1 minute.
Good. I'll get this through quick. Thank you. Grant, regarding the well that you have on your property that you put in roughly about, I guess maybe 120 days ago or so for irrigation, where did that permit come from? Did you get a permit for that well?
It's an agricultural, non-potable well.
Okay. The electricity, so you don't need a permit is what you're saying? Well, that's strange, because that's not what Lake County has to say about it. All right, I'll have to double.
Did you explain the detail that it was agricultural to them?
Pardon?
Did you explain the detail of it being agricultural to them?
Okay, the other thing is, obviously, all of the wells in that particular area are all encased. Is that well encased?
On the opposite side of Fosgate, I believe so, because that was orange groves.
Yeah, in the trails, it's all encased, and the reason that it's encased is because of the dump. But anyhow,
No, it was because of DDT sprayed on the orange trees that were there prior to it being a development.
That's right, and also the area
Do you-
that's
do you
there.
approve of
But
that?
anyhow,
10 seconds.
that's all I wanted to bring up, but I appreciate it, and hopefully we can get DEP out there to finish the job. Thank you.
All righty, anybody else?
Good evening. Kelly Moore, 17029 Florence View Drive, Montverde, Florida. I live in Mag Terrace. I've lived in Mag Terrace for over 11 years. Prior to that, I lived at Verde Ridge under the bridge for another 11 years. A couple questions I have. One is, can we get an answer tonight from the council when they get to speak? How much are we spending on this consultant? That's what I'd like to know. And when are we going to hear from this consultant? You know, we have an ETA on this. And I recollect this was Mr. Lorino's suggestion to the council, and then the council voted on it. I don't think the council members came up with the idea of a consultant. Now, my opinion is that this $10,000 or 20 or 5 or whatever it's costing the town is not really going to have any verdict as far as what the Florida Department of Protection's ultimately going to do with this property. So I think it's a complete waste of time and money. And then my second question is for Mr. Roberts. Have you been in contact with the Florida DEP, and have they made any attempt to come out to your property and look at it yet, or you know, what's going on with that?
I believe you're in contact with Mr. Seifert, so you could ask him that yourself.
What was that now?
I said, I believe you're in contact with Mr. Seifert as well. You could ask him yourself.
So you don't have an answer if they're coming to your property and when?
I don't have to answer that.
Okay. Well, I did see him yesterday in person, and I did have Mr. Thomason on the phone when I spoke to him, and he informed me that he has been on your property, and that the Florida DEP is going forward with the investigation. I don't understand, as a taxpayer and a resident here for quite a time, why my council is spending money when we have a governing body already looking into this, and yet, when is the council or the mayor or the city manager going to reach out to Florida DEP directly instead of waiting for some consultant that doesn't really have a bearing on what they do? That's the big question. Why are we waiting? Was this a stall tactic? I mean, I don't understand that. Mr. Rolino talks about the DEP about every 5 minutes with his capital projects.
30 seconds.
So I'd like some answers on that, council members. If you bring it up during discussion, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anybody else have got something? Nope.
Wait. He's got 3 minutes left. He's got 3 minutes left.
I only do 3 minutes.
You only get 3 minutes now?
Come on up, 3 minutes, come on.
Was it 3 minutes?
Yeah, it was.
We didn't, I thought
11:30
we
was
agreed
3
for
minutes.
5 minutes.
No,
We didn't
five
agree with
minutes
that.
was wrong,
I've got
correct?
2:21. It was 2:05.
Oh, okay. Come on up. I counted, I watched the clock. It was 3 minutes, come on up.
Are we only allowed 3 minutes? Is that the new rule?
You're up, come on.
Good evening, members of the council. I'm at 17529 Kirkland. Kirkland Road, which was the late Ruth Ryan's home. And I attended the workshop last week when we were talking about the speed bumps. And I was recommended to come in today and just address. You were talking about considering a 67% vote of the people or the residents on Kirkland, including the Pines, in order to pass a speed bump. And my concern is that the people that are speeding are from the Pines, and they will vote it down. And evidently, there used to be a speed bump on that road requested by Ms. Ryan that was removed because of the people of the Pines probably complain about it. So I'm asking that whenever the vote goes in and that this is considered, that only the people that are directly affected on Kirkland are the ones that do vote. And I know that you're going to be improving the road. So it's going to be maybe 24 months before that is even considered. So in the meantime, please, I'm asking for a patrol. I would dare say that over 90% of the cars that go up and down are over 25. Some are 50, 60 miles an hour. It's very, very unsafe. And so a patrol to be parked at rush hour in the morning and afternoon on Oak Street and Kirkland would be a great spot, and a speedometer so that people at least can be conscious that you are indeed speeding. You know, they probably don't realize how fast they're going. So I'm asking you to take that into consideration until the speed bump goes into a vote.
Well, I can add to that. I went up there and watched it 4 different times, and you're absolutely correct. The cars are going very fast.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, you have a good point about just the people on that road to vote on it. So we need to talk about it. I actually have it on my agenda to talk about.
Thank you.
No, you're very welcome. Do you want to?
I needed to correct something, all right? Grant, it is mandatory that all AG wells, mandatory that you get a construction permit,
Okay,
period,
thank you.
okay?
Okay, thank you.
So I just want to make sure that we've got some things going on here that aren't
fine.
right, and that's
That's
out.
fine. That's
All right?
fine. But you're.
and you
time's
know
up.
they're not right.
Time's up. Sorry. I understand that. We're working on that problem.
Randy Elman, 16603 Lowry Road, Montverde, Florida. I felt I should speak about this DEP. I have experience with the DEP and the EPA extensively over an industrial piece of property years ago I had. That I did spent thousands of dollars on a geologist, and the DEP just said, EPA says, we don't have to take that. We'll have our own. So I think you're wasting your time on this consultant guy, because the DEP will just come back, Paul probably knows, they'll just say, well, we don't have to take that, you know. And I hired the top geologist in the state to do a report on this property that I inherited from my dad. And they just said, well, we don't have to take that. We'll have our own people do it. And we told the DEP at that time, well, we'll hire the people you're going to have. We don't have to tell you who it is. So I think you're wasting your money on some consultant. The DEP will do whatever they want to do. My 3 minutes up?
Nope. Okay, thank you very much. Anybody else want to talk to the council about something?
Jim Peacock, 16549 Lowry Road. Last month I talked about the issues, algae issues in Lake Florence. I finally received a couple days ago, the report from DEP where they had taken water samples and algae samples. I have forwarded that to Paul. If you want a copy of anyone, you can get it from him. I don't know if you've seen that yet. Okay, but it's all, most of the names are Latin, so it's not going to make any, it doesn't make any sense to me. Very little of it does. So I did talk with a person at DEP who put this together. They did identify called it the cloud algae, Mogiodia sp. That means nothing to anyone. Did determine it is non-toxic, and the other algae that's in the lake, primarily the foam stuff that floats from the surface, has a potential. It identified it also. It has a potential for toxin, but they did not detect any. So the water is safe for recreational use. One thing too is I was on the lake this afternoon and did water sampling for Lake Watch. I talked about the Secchi last month. If you remember what that is, a white disc that's dropped in the water until it disappears. You record the depth. I was getting, for years, 3.5 feet. I got 5 feet this afternoon. So the water clarity is actually improved considerably. But again, talking with people and DEP, what is happening is the algae blooms are actually pulling nutrients out of the water. So the algae is actually a blessing and a curse in that respect. And there's still a lot of the cloud algae, I call it, in the water, particularly around the perimeter, but I didn't see a lot out in the center of the lake. So hopefully it's starting to dissipate. One thing from the cold weather, the algae on the surface, the foamy algae that we usually see, was pretty much non-existent. I think the cold weather and the freeze probably took care of most of that. So I guess, the bottom line is the lake is safe. It's safe for recreational use. Actually, the water clarity is actually improving, and we just have to keep an eye on the other algae for the next few months, and hopefully it continues to dissipate.
Thank you for the work you do.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
I have one. Good. I'm sorry. Finish
No,
up.
no, I'm good.
Okay. I had one quick thing. I wanted to correct something from the last meeting. Was I think there was some confusion as to the supermajority attorney that you had brought up about that. Where that was actually 600.
Sorry, I'm dig up.
That supermajority attorney was $600, not $10,000. The $10,000 is for the study for that in lieu of using the DEP. I just wanted to clarify that with you. That's all.
Okay. Okay.
That's it.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So if anybody wants to take a look at this, it's going to be very hard to understand, but Paul will have a copy of it.
All right.
Any questions from anyone on anything on the lake? So I'm just going to keep an eye on things for now and report back for any changes. But the lake's looking good right now.
Yeah, for sure appreciate your work.
Okay. Thank you.
All righty. Who's next?
Farmer Banks Helfrich. I live in the Clay Road District, which is South Lake County in Claremont. A farm tip of the day, on my farm, we 10 days ago got frozen. We usually wait a month to see if anything comes back before we trim anything. So it's usually 1 month after the last freeze. Mayor, council, distinguished guests, Heidi, the pig farmer, told me a story. She had spent 4 years and thousands of dollars attempting to get a conditional use permit from the county. She was approved by the United States Department of Agriculture. She was approved by the Florida Department of Agriculture and Services. It was the county she had an issue with. I heard this story. I pulled her aside and I said, Heidi, why don't I try to help you through this? She obliged. So we got on the phone with Sean Parks, our county commissioner, 17 minutes on the phone. From there, that led to me reaching out to a friend of mine, lawyer who works in land use, who works in government. He referred Heidi to Meg at the Planning and Zoning Department at the county. Heidi then took a trip up to Tavares. She spent the afternoon filling out the permit. She paid the fee. And in July of last year, it was put on the Planning and Zoning Board agenda. She presented about 15 minutes. She got a chance to present. There was opposition from some of her neighbors. Now, granted, she lives in the Green Swamp, 20 acres. It is permitted agriculture. There was support. A couple of her neighbors, her friends supported her. I stood up, and as an advocate for South Lake County, as an advocate for farmers, she gives a great impact to the community, especially with what she wants to do. It was approved 4-1. The next month, in August, it was presented in front of the county commissioners. Again, she presented. Again, there was some opposition, less this time. Again, I stood up and in support. It was approved unanimously. You were not there then, 4-0. And now she has a conditional use permit to raise her pigs in a regenerative style, not in mud pits, but sand pits. She can now humanely process that meat. She can prepare it. She can cure it on property, and she can serve it right there on her property to her customers. This is a seed to solution success story. This is what I do. I work within government from federal to state to municipality to county. And my mother always told me, use honey, not vinegar. And by asking and by working across the many spectrums of government, it has worked out well. Now, mind you, government does not have an answer for everything. However, government's sole purpose is to serve its citizens. I am Farmer Banks Helfrich, advocate for South Lake County, candidate for State House District 25. May you all be blessed. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you very much, Farmer Banks. All righty, anybody else?
I have two quick questions. George Gansmo, 17740 Neal Drive. First one is, don't forget Franklin Pond. I hear all about Lake Fairview. We've been waiting 6-8 months already. Second one, I got a letter that said they were going to review the development at 7 o'clock. I don't see anybody here. Has that been canceled for some reason?
They're right there.
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah.
Then if they're here, I'm here. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else want to talk to the council about something that's not on the agenda?
Aaron Wadsworth, 17647 9th Street. On the topic of speed bumps, just something to consider. They're rarely the answer to speeding. All they do is tend to deflect traffic to other roads. So in the point of Kirkland, if you put a speed bump on Kirkland to deflect or to slow those traffic down coming out of the Pines, all they're going to do is come down 9th or come down 8th. So you have to look at the whole block and the whole area and understand that if you put a speed bump on Kirkland, you also need to do it on 9th and 8th, or you're just going to divert that traffic at high speeds to other roads. So that's all.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, let's keep moving. Let's do our town manager's report with grant reimbursement tracking.
So thank you, Council. Couple things. Your sheets are inside your booklets with the grant reimbursing tracking and the impact fee report. Also have our Florida Highway Patrol report. I would want to point out, if you'll take a quick look at January numbers, over the last few months I've been working with our on-duty supervisor for the patrol, and we've shifted some personnel around in the Highway Patrol off-duty program. You're seeing more miles patrol, less stops, and more tickets given on average than other months. We've got a pretty good crew out there working. The miles are reflective because you're still actively working, trying to get around some of the neighborhoods and be in different areas throughout the town. But also, with that said, they're also actively working on enforcement.
So, yeah, that's nice. I actually saw that was 65% in January compared to 24% in December. So definitely good job on that.
Correct. Thank you. Lake County Fire Rescue Report is in there as well. So you have that.
Well, wait a minute. I wanted to talk about the grant reimbursement form, just the form itself I was looking at, and we have a lot of grants that are completed. And I wanted to see if we could move those below the totals that we're working with, because they're already done. There's quite a few. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that are completed, and but they're still in the total numbers. See what I'm saying?
Got you. Yeah, if you want to, next time you're in the office, you want to visit with me, we could see how you would like to see that format-wise, and we can
I mean,
play
if
with that.
everybody's okay with that, it's just, you know, as we finish them, maybe bring them to the bottom. Not that we have to get it off the report itself, because who knows, that information might come in handy. But as far as the running totals, you know, they're not in the running totals anymore.
Sure, and we could do maybe a separate sheet that's finished completed grants total, so you could kind of see what's been done over the last couple of years, and just keep this for active grants or something along that line as well.
Yeah, and then I guess take them off this page completely and just put them on another page. I don't know. It might be worthwhile. Well, let's talk about it, but it might be worthwhile to keep it on this report. Just start splitting it different ways. No, we can talk about that. But is anybody against that?
I was jokingly going to say workshop.
Huh?
I was jokingly going to say workshop.
No,
we'll
you know, it's pretty simple what I'm following. You guys are following what I'm saying, right? Grant, you okay? Brian? Okay. Carol? Okay. Okay. Alrighty. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. So, council, we're going to start populating this stuff late next week up on our website and getting the information out. We're still getting some of the flyers, but I do want to let you know, Sandy and the library crew have been working on trying to get some programming, which we discussed last year as we did the budget. We're working at getting a few programs. We're mainly going to focus on spring and early summer to get our feet wet, and then probably slow down as we go into Montverde. They're doing story time with kids. Today we had a story time. 10 kids showed up, plus the parents showed up for story time, which is really a great turnout for story time. They're going to launch a 500 books before middle school program, where they start in elementary school and try to get through 500 books. Our summer reading program will start in May. They're also looking at possibly do some Lego robotics program for the teens starting in late June. Also going to be working on some adult programming kind of in the day, mainly focused on Tuesdays. Right now there's free tax preparation going on Wednesdays and Thursdays. You can go to the town website, and you don't have to be a senior to have them do your taxes. You make an appointment in any age, and even small businesses, they'll help you with that. That was something the council set up, started last year and voted on, and so now that's actually going on those days. In March, you're going to see Montverde Academy is just going to come in the afternoon and do some classical music inside the library one afternoon for you. Beginning in April, we're going to start what we call some health and wellness programming, and we got both admin and Orlando Health. We're going to come out and do some 1 hour, hour and a half seminars on balance and fall prevention, back pain, maybe some chair yoga, Parkinson's, incontinence, some things that may be of interest. So keep an eye on the website. We're going to start populating that stuff up here in the next week or so and get that information out. And we'll also pop it on the town's calendar, and then we'll start Facebooking out as well. We're going to put a little booklet in the library you can pick up here in about another week or two. We're also exploring some other bi-monthly classes, such as knitting and crocheting and some chair yoga to kind of look at that. April's going to be a fun month for us. We are going to do come see the butterfly garden. Hopefully everything will come back to life after the freeze. From 10 to 11, we're going to have a string quartet just doing classical music as you walk through the butterfly garden to just come and enjoy your time there. So maybe something if you have some friends in, or just want to come check out the butterfly garden, you haven't been there, it'd be a great time to do that. Our spring concerts are going to kick up. They'll be on the second Saturdays. So you can see March 14th, April 11th, and May 9th. And again, these flyers will go out here fairly soon. This year, we're going to do some food trucks. We'll have them out there, but we're also going to have a few vendors out there with the tent set up for you to work around as you do that as well. So that's upcoming. Easter egg scramble. If you've ever been to the Easter egg scramble, it's an amazing thing to watch for 3 minutes. I think we've gone from our 10,000 eggs. I think we're up to 14,000 eggs or so this year because the kids keep coming. So we're going to do that at 10 o'clock. We're tentatively looking at, that's something I may chat with council off at another time. I'm tentatively maybe looking at doing that afternoon. Last year we did a townwide picnic to celebrate our 100th, and it was really popular. Looking at maybe, since we already have this 10 o'clock doing, maybe trying to do a little smaller modified version of a town picnic after the Easter egg scramble for families and kids. So council, think about that. I'll probably call you and just talk to you about that and see how you guys feel about that, because we will need council help to do that, just with staffing, because it's going to be hard to get certain volunteers on Easter on there. Couple other things before I go into that. Just my normal reports, and sorry, a little bit long on reports today. First, I want to thank our Public Works. They came in on their day off to put tarps all over the plants in town as much as they could save for the big freeze. So they worked all day in the wind putting that down. During the freeze time, I believe we had about 12 call-ins for frozen or broken water lines. So Chuck made trips on both Saturday and Sunday to deal with broken water lines throughout the day and evening. So I appreciate all of his work on that. I want to encourage council and our citizens to keep an eye on the legislation that's going around. If you go to Florida League of Cities under advocacy, you can get the latest on the legislations. An interesting one that would affect Montverde, especially for what all of our planning has done, is be Senate Bill 48. And it has to deal with accessory dwelling units. It unanimously passed the Senate, and now it's in the House. And that would give use by right for you to build a second house in your backyard. You can and rent it. So basically, every lot could have a second home, a granny flat, or a rental unit on their backyard. It never goes to council, never comes for permitting. It would come through permitting, but nothing through the normal zoning process. And that went through unanimously.
Impact fees.
They would still have to pay the impact fees, and they would still have to get septics and water. But the difference is, if you own a house, you come file a permit, town has to sign off on it. We have to use our existing zoning as it states right now. So basically, the setbacks we have, and it's approved, and they can start building. So, I mean, it won't happen, but the potential there, you could double the population of Montverde. I mean, that's the house dream it could get, but it won't get that way. But that's what they opened the door for.
Quick question on your impact fees. Do those change if it's an add-on to the house or if it's a separate structure?
I believe right now it's set up as separate structures. So it would be an accessory dwelling, so an accessory building separate to the main structure. And the key that's different right now in the town of Montverde, you can build an ADU, but it has to be for a relative or a family member has to live in it because it's still the single-family residential. Under this legislation, you can rent the primary house and you can rent the secondary accessory dwelling unit. You don't have to live in the primary. The secondary can be rented, it could be leased, you could be RBO it. There's not going to be any limitations on it, how it's written now. Well, who knows what when it comes out of the house. But that's kind of, just, again, that's that preemption we're seeing from the state, and there's a lot of other ones like that that are floating out there. I'm just making you aware of that because it's just council, be aware of that. I know our local representatives from the House come talks to us occasionally and visits with you guys. Be aware of these things so you can voice your opinion on them.
Could they put up a mobile home?
What's that?
A mobile home?
In a mobile home district, they could. And we have a mobile home district. So yeah, it's and there's no size limitation on it too. That's what's the interesting piece of it. So I'm going to move on for that.
You also include no height limit?
It would still have to qualify to our current zoning. Okay. So yeah, there's some maximum zoning things. I mean, we don't know what the final bill will be out, but it did pass unanimously. So that's Senate Bill 48. Write that down. You can just pop it in and look that one up. Real quick, I wanted to follow up on the DEP conversation. Myself, our consultant, along with Mr. Roberts and the Department of Environmental Protection, brought a couple people out, and we did meet on the site and walk the site and had a discussion. I was appreciative of our consultant the town hired to be there because he was representing the town. That's his job, and having the discussion about the stuff they don't know about our zoning codes, what's allowed, what's a use by right. So it was a very informative conversation. We were out there a good hour or so on site. With that said, the takeaway, obviously DEP is looking into what they want to do, if they want to do anything, what that's going to be. That's their decision on how to handle that. Our consultant representing town is explaining, here's the town's position, and to make it clear, from a liability standpoint, they were very clear, the town is fine with what we did. It's actually, throughout the discussion, I think it was agreed upon, our zoning under our CUP is a reduction in intensity for the site of what's currently allowed on the site. And our consultant talking through, even through DEP guidance, I'm not going to go too far, even through DEP guidance, their guidance, you can download EPAs where they talk about capping the sites, which is what's happening out there, use it for parking, parks, golf courses, things along that line. So our consultant who's representing the town and the town's interests is going to be here at the March meeting. He's going to deliver a report and answer all the council's questions as it relates to the town's part of this and be able to answer that for you. So that's coming. So we wanted to meet with DEP first and have that conversation, let them do their thing. What DEP does, that's their decision. They're the regulatory body over that. Our consultant is looking out for the town's interest, making sure the town's position is clear. And it was really good because he speaks their language, so as they had the conversation, when things get brought, he gets to have that language conversation back and forth.
Question real quick, Paul.
Yes, sir.
Were you done with the DP thing?
Yes.
So I guess, can you clarify as to what is the town's position? You kind of briefly mentioned it, that the current usage of the land is better than any other usage that would involve more residential units, I guess. So I guess, can you clarify that statement?
Yeah, so one thing, just making them understand, is as a property owner, you have your uses by right under state statute. When you get a zoning classification under our code, you're allowed to use your property for X. That parcel is 15 acres. It's zoned single-family residential. So the highest, most intense use, if it went into a PUD, would be 30 homes on the site with all the parking and cars. That's what is currently permitted under our town code, would be 2 units per dwelling unit under SFL. The other uses, there's a bunch of conditional uses, from churches to different things that could be allowed under conditional uses. He also has the right for ag under SFL. You have the right to put row crops in, dig up, put piping in, do anything you do with ag. I guess, theory, have a farm animals, anything out there, plus extreme heavy equipment related to ag, because under ag, the town doesn't have the right under the Florida right to farm. He could have heavy duty ag operations out there. So when you look at the tense use of parking a trailer or a boat out there, as far as the density and the weight of what possibly things could be, you could weigh that in. When I personally look at the EPA, and that's up for Jorge to decide, but when you look at the EPA guidance, what they don't want to see out there is building or covered things, because the biggest problem is when you have old dump sites have been capped, there could be some release of methane gas or something comes up. So you can easily find EPA books that say, hey, parking areas and golf courses and parks and solar farms, those kind of things are out there for a capped site. Now, that's up to DEP what that site looks like to make them happy to what those cap sites look like, and that's what DEP is going to have to work with Mr. Roberts to determine what they want to do.
So, but wouldn't the priority be to find out if there is buried chemical drums in there? I would think that's the main priority, not necessarily advocating for the town that the usage currently is the best. It's not, it's going to help us out in the, I guess, in the long run. Like, so I guess I'm confused on that.
Yeah, well, that's DEP's priorities and role. I mean, we're not, we handle zoning and regulation at the town, and that's what DEP is going to do and what their role is. I mean, they have the authority to put a stop on that property right away. I mean, they can put an injunction where you can't do anything. They haven't done that yet. So, I don't know what the level that's at with them. That's up to them to do the investigation. I'm looking out, someone made a comment about liability for the town. So obviously my first priority is make sure, we're exploring, make sure we don't have that liability, make sure our zoning code isn't in conflict of some stuff that's out there with DEP rulings and things along that line. And then trying to get a whole picture of what everything looks like. But it's not our job to be DEP. That's DEP's job. And if DEP wants to put a stop to it today, they can put a stop to it today.
Because I was under the impression that hiring the consultant was to find out if there is an issue there, if there's a safety issue there.
Yeah,
I
he's
didn't-
going to correlate all of the paperwork and put everything together, what's been done on the site, and do a narrative of what's gone on over the years to kind of put it. You know, there's a lot of paperwork in a lot of different places, all over the place on this, and DEP will even admit their paperwork's in a lot of different places and hard to find. So he's gathering up everything he could find. He's going to do a summary so you as a council could understand what's going on out there, basically how long it's been, recommendations for best practices, and then also working back and forth with DEP to understand kind of what they're doing and what our role is.
Now, is it possible for us council members to, I guess, get what has been communicated so far between that consultant and the actual DEP?
I mean, most of it's been verbal at this point, but I think he's putting that into his report. So I should have our meetings in March, probably the end of this month, we'll have a draft report out for council.
Thanks,
Yep.
Mo.
No problem.
At the end of the report, is there going to, I'm assuming the report's going to state that the town's not liable then? That's right, by the DEP.
Yeah, I mean, our consultant said there's no liability here for the town on
No,
anything.
I get, but I'm saying for the DEP wise, the DEP, I'm assuming would send.
From the DEP,
Right, yeah, I mean, the consultant I get, but the DEP.
Well, I don't know what the DEP is going to say. I mean, the DEP is going to say what the DEP is going to say. I mean, they're the regulatory body.
I mean, then we're still on the hook though.
What's that?
If I'm understanding then from everything.
On the
that's
hook for what?
We'd be liable for that. We're
No.
still, no.
I don't see any, from my whole conversation, from what the town already had rights issued for the property long before it was ever done, whatever was done there. And our use change is actually a reduction in use, which in our opinion is a benefit to the property as it sits, because you go to, again, guidance, they talk about capping the site, and you go to some of the guidance, it's not always about about pulling the stuff out, because sometimes that causes more damages, and sometimes it doesn't. That's DEP expertise.
Can the consultant, is he able to answer the one question, it was, and I apologize, I don't remember which of the reports it was in. I don't know if it was the 2020 report where it stated, is he going to be able to answer to that report?
He is.
Okay.
Yeah. He's going to look at his report. He's going to summarize, and he's going to come in here and do the presentation, and he'll sit here for an hour and answer all your guys' questions and go. He's very knowledgeable in this area. I mean, he used to be the supervisor of some of the people that are looking into this. So he's aware of their processes, what they do, what their options are. Ultimately, again, DEP will make that decision. And, I have no hint what they'll do. There was just no where they'll go with that. I think in their mind, they're still trying to understand everything that's going on out there and doing their investigation. And nor do I think they would even say anything until they get that complete anyway.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Sorry, Paul, quick question. When DEP was there physically on site, who else was there? So it was the consultant?
The consultant, another member of DEP, and myself and Mr. Roberts.
Okay. And when was that?
Friday. It's my day off, Friday.
All right, thanks.
Yep. Just a couple more things. Next, I want to let the council know just a quick little update on Shafi, our 2 grants. I finally, as you know, we submitted our $12.9 million Shafi grant, which redoes our water tower, water lines. That has been in facility review since April. I finally emailed DEP and said, hey, my council's getting upset because this hasn't been approved and using her because you guys keep asking about it. And basically, I did get a verbal that the facility plan has been approved, and now it's been moved up for the person to write the letter for the approval for facility plan. So that's almost done. The 19.2 storm, dollar one, which would do the streets and the storms, that came back, and they put a request out for some additional information, which was pretty minor, and they went ahead and put all the conditions of the letter in that email, so they're going to be formalizing that. So I'm expecting to see, hopefully within the next 30, 60 days, ink on paper that says our facility plans will be approved. And then, as we mentioned, our next step is getting full engineering plans stamped. DEP will have to approve those full facility engineering plans. Then we'll put the bid plans and documents together. DEP, again, will have to approve those bid plans and documents. We'll do the bid. DEP will review the bid and the final contract for that. And then we'll have someone on the hook to go ahead and get started on these projects. So that's all upcoming. likely, we'll definitely, hopefully by fall, see some work going on the water side for sure, and heavy engineering going in on the storm side sometime this fall. I also, with that, as you know, we received last year a $350,000 appropriation to do some crosswalk and sidewalk improvements area in front of the academy to improve safety and visibility. Approximately 2.5 years ago, just shows you how the cycle started. I mentioned this at the workshop. We started working with the county. Mr. Fred, who was our engineer at the time, assisted me working with Daniel Webster's office. So this was a little over 2 years ago. The actual application went in almost 2 years ago to date for some assistance to make improvements on 455, which would be safety improvements, doing some studies, sidewalks, possibly roundabout for downtown. I'm pleased to say Mr. Webster, I think he got about 4 or 5 different appropriations through the U.S. House of Congress, the U.S. Congress, and we were one of them in the amount of $1.5 million. So thank you, Mr. Webster, for all your hard work. Thank you, Lake County and your staff, Ms. Barker and Fred, for assisting us getting that $1.5 million through. So that will be added to the 19.2 and the 350,000 and the other couple million we have for those storm projects to continue to do work on our stormwater projects. Just want to let council know, already know, tomorrow they did some grinding today. We're going to do some resurface again. Once a year, we try to get our worst roads. We're going to do some resurfaces on 3rd Street, Neal Drive, and Pine Timber cul-de-sac, and a couple of small patches in the park on Park Lane that have popped up. So that'll actually start tomorrow and can hopefully be finished by the end of the week. Sidewalk repair project at Mag Terrace is completed, so we replaced quite a few sections of sidewalks and did grinding out there, so that is complete. And with that said, that's all I have. I'll be glad to give some updates if you have any specific questions about our storm projects. I didn't want to take up much more time, but I'd be glad if anybody had any, or not a storm project, but our other capital projects that we have out there.
Do we get to use the funds that we get from Daniel Webster any way we choose, or are they pinned to something?
They're pinned.
To
those are directly pinned to 455 with some safety improvements and a couple other things, and some of it's tied to engineering cost, and we'll have to see how the grant, but all the money will have to be used somewhere on 455, and I think we put from Fosgate all the way to the roundabout as the area. And again, we have our 19 million is for stormwater, so that money's got to be used for stormwater. The 350 has to be used for the crosswalks and the sidewalks. This will pick up some of the pieces that aren't covered by storm, because obviously the storm is for storm, so there may be some curbing, some other features that don't qualify under that facility plan. Then also, I've been in conversations, I mentioned this at council, the county is open to giving us some of their county impact fees to assist with turn lanes on 455 in front of the academy to help with the congestion, so we can get traffic moving there. So there's a lot of pieces. I mean, we're going to be over $22.5 million worth of repairs when it's all said and done here. To 8th, 9th, Kirkland, 455, Highland, Lake, and a couple other little areas in town.
Yeah, the 1.5 part of that was the islands that we were going to do, and I think it was 2 islands with turning lanes on 455. But I don't know if we want to still do that. That's 2 years ago.
Yeah, we left it broad where it's safety, help with traffic. I think we wrote it in a way to assist in slowing vehicles down. I don't remember what the term is, but we left some flexibility in there, what that looks like. So it'll be a part of that bigger project, and every grant covers a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but nothing does the whole piece. So now we got all the pieces put together.
All righty. Anything else?
I hope not.
Anita? Yeah. All righty. Thank you. County Commissioner?
You want to start with the planner's report first?
Okay.
Planner's report, moderate level of standard zoning clearances coming in, nothing new and unusual to report. Now you want the commission?
Sure.
Okay, so your congratulations on the grants that were just discussed. Montverde is hitting like way above its weight class. I can think of entire sectors of the county that didn't get this kind of grant money. So congratulations. It's really hard work, all of you. all of you, of course, advocating and supporting it as a policy, but then your staff and Paul to pursue these. Again, entire parts of the county aren't getting this, so it's very good. And we're happy to partner.
Projects funded.
Right.
Nobody gets that.
Yeah, there's some very good projects that are being funded, and it's important right now that you're getting that because of what could be coming down the road with property taxes. We don't know yet. You know that's passed through the House to phase out property taxes. The Senate, as I understand, will not do that, but who knows? So probably be some kind of exemption, homestead exemption that could come down the road for us on that. But either way, there's going to be an effect on that without any kind of replacement revenue source. And if you're allocating that property tax, hoping for roads, it's going to definitely put a pinch. So getting these grants is definitely going to help out a lot.
Have you seen any mention of the ISBAs in those acts that they're putting in place?
Elimination of ISBAs, nothing. Preemption is it escalates every year. Worse, it gets worse and worse. There's preemption bills. We find out about them. Oh, this has gone through. Oh, this is artificial turf, and now it mandates artificial turf, and you don't even hear about it. So there's all kinds of preemptions that are out there. The special interests have, quite frankly, found a way that's easier to go to the legislature than it is to fight, at the local level. So that's why they do it. So it's very tough. I haven't heard anything about ISBAs.
Well, what's suspicious is going through Ferndale, and you come out on the other side, and you're still in Ferndale. You can see where the Ferndale signs start and stop. Right after the Ferndale second sign, everything's level. Everything's level, both sides. And I understand that Lennar Homes has put a contract on the 300 acres in Ferndale, anticipating that the ISBAs might go away.
No, ISBA is still very much in place and having a lot of history with ISBAs and now joint planning agreements with the county. The Montverde, Claremont, Mineola, Lake County ISBA, in my opinion, is the only one that really works the best, and it is firmly in place. You redid it. This board authorized, as well as the county and the other cities. That is not going anywhere. That is still absolutely in place. I haven't heard of any legislation to change that.
Okay, but the state could wipe them out if they wanted to. That's how I understand.
I mean, the state could, yes. It's, you got to watch everything. Joint planning agreements, it's still in Chapter 163. Joint planning agreements are a great way to prohibit or discourage urban sprawl. So we'll see if they go after.
I bring it up so that everybody pays attention on who votes how.
Yeah.
So don't let that person get back in office if they're voting to do away with ISBAs, because that's going to destroy our ISBA in Ferndale.
That's right. Yeah.
So that's why I bring it up.
Yeah, exactly. So just a couple of things really quick. Starting tomorrow, the cycle will be open for if somebody's interested in selling their land to the county through the Public Lands Acquisition Program. Cycle will open up tomorrow. That was discussed at our county commission today, and we voted for that unanimously to open the cycle back up. We've got all the review criteria in place. It's going to take a little while to get through them, but that cycle will be open starting tomorrow again. So it is America's 250th birthday year. So the county will be looking for cities and towns that are interested in celebrating 250. Gosh, I'm sorry. Every time. It is America's 250th birthday, so the Lake County will be looking for towns and cities to partner on how to celebrate that and make it a really big deal, the big deal that it deserves to be. So I'm sure we look forward to, as the county, looking forward to working with Montverde as well as all the other cities throughout the year to celebrate America's 250.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Guess we'll go to town council. Carol, do you have anything?
Yeah, I do. And I'm going to say right off the bat, it's a little awkward and uncomfortable. It's in regards to the email that I got. I'm guessing we all. It's in regards to the email that we got referencing Mr. Morganelli. I'm just interested in the the process that could potentially come before the council? Can you shed any light on anything?
Not at this time. I'm still looking into it to see what the ramifications, if any, are based on what information I was provided. So as soon as I know something more, I'll report to the council.
Oh, okay. All right. And that's really was the only question that I had. Thank you.
Alrighty. How about Brian?
So I have a few things. Quick question, Paul. For the programs that you mentioned, Orlando Health and Advent Health doing those health programs, can anyone sign up to do those programs, or is there like a vetting process?
Yeah, well, they're more likely going to be Tuesday at 10 o'clock, and they'll be open to anybody. You don't have to be a resident. You don't have to be over 60. You can be young. You know, some of them are geared a little bit more to older adults, but anybody's open to them.
Oh, I'm sorry. So what I meant was like, can any company sign up to do a class like for the residents, like? Or...
Oh, if someone's interest, yeah, we would look at it, and if it made sense and workable for our space we have, yeah, we would be open. We still have a couple spots we're trying to fill.
So essentially, we could bring a lot more programs for the residents. Obviously, kind of the different type of programs, like bingo night. I think it was one thing, right, at one point.
Well, the town legally can't operate bingo because there's a state statute on that. It has to be a nonprofit. There's a bunch of state regulations now for operating bingo. Yeah, I mean, the town can do as many programs, but also what's in physically possible with the small staff we have. You know, so staff is going to be the major limitation. So we're kind of trying to get our feet wet with people coming in where there's not a lot of staff time and seeing how we do and see what that does for staff time. And we're kind of doing this as our slower year. As Montverde progresses and summer comes along, we get busier and busier. Staff gets a little more out there. But yeah, I mean, we're definitely open to doing a couple more, but also got to be mindful of all the staff time it takes to put a program off, from anything from, you know, public works having to bring chairs in, you know, all that stuff adds up.
Yeah, the only reason I was asking is because I think it would probably be a good idea to, at some point, maybe reach out to the VSOs, the veteran service officers, you know, to maybe come out for like an hour or two, just, you know, in case there's any veteran residents that want to talk to them, instead of, you know, because they're really hard to get a hold of and make an appointment. So I figured that maybe something like that, or some educational version of, you know, of VSOs.
Yeah, I think that would be great. If you have some thoughts on context for doing that, if you would give me a holler next time you're in, or come in and let's sit down, and we have some slots where we can do that. And, you know, someone also had another great idea, which is kind of be in the fall, is someone that kind of explained Medicare Advantage plans and all that kind of stuff when that time of year rolls around. So that's something else we can look at doing that can be beneficial.
Okay.
Most definitely. Yeah. We're looking for some slots and ideas.
Maybe the council could come over, like maybe like a list of suggestions too. I mean, obviously it's not high priority, but just we could put a list together, I guess, and explore for the following few months. Let's see. Now, I had a question for the trooper. Because I've noticed that he's at Montverde Academy like every morning, you know, and I think that obviously it was mentioned earlier from one of the residents on the whole speeding issue. People don't usually speed like in front of Montverde Academy. It's usually getting to Montverde Academy or leaving Montverde Academy is usually where the speeding really happens. Like, is there a way to, you know, can we even dictate that to the state trooper? Like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I'll communicate to them. I think there needs to be a time and presence there. A couple years ago, I had a trooper just stand outside their car and just wave them all down when they were on their cell phones about ready to crash into people, and that was really effective. So, you know, it's just not always speeding that they do there. They look for, you know, people not paying attention, things like that. But the one trooper in the morning has been spending some time there, and we'll work to get them spread out in different areas. I agree with you on that.
Thank you. And then also, I had the privilege to attend training from the League, Florida Leagues of Cities. It's IMEO training. It's for newly elected officials. I could tell you that, first of all, the training was awesome. It was 2 days. It was, I think, 8 o'clock to about 5 o'clock both days. But the biggest takeaway is that when you hear other elected officials and the councils that they represent and the cities that they represent, we're really tiny. And I wanted to bring that to, you know, to council. Kind of, this is my takeaway. give you an example, the Jacksonville, and I mentioned this to Paul, they have 19 council members, and they have a $2.23 billion budget, you know, and when you compare that to us, we're like a little grain of rice, I guess, compared to that. So it did put things in perspective from that aspect, but it's great training. I encourage anyone in the future who gets on council, definitely do the training. I don't know if anybody's eligible currently on council to do it, but nonetheless, that was the biggest takeaway is I guess our problems are really small compared to some of the other problems out there. Thank you, Paul.
It's funny, I tell everybody, we're a little tiny town with all the same exact problems, they're only little tiny compared to Orlando. Grant, do you got anything?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thanks for the Public Works Department. I mean, a lot of people that have lived here for a long time are probably used to seeing trash on the side of the roads for a very long time. And I mean, it's every morning I see Alan or someone driving by picking up trash off the side of the road. So I just want to say I appreciate that.
Thank you. I'll pass that on to them.
All right, Joe?
Yep. So I got a quick question in reference to our website. I know we're going through different revamps and everything like that. Is there how difficult would it be to remove the limit? I'm going to say to remove the limit for our minutes on our website, because right now it looks like there's a hard limit. I think it's like 16, and it's after 16 they're just gone, which means a resident would have to do a records request to get anything beyond that. Is there a way there's a flag in WordPress for posts per page that it's an easy update for that? If we can maybe have our web guy do that.
Yeah, I wasn't even aware. I can look into it, most definitely. Yeah, that's fine. I would agree. We probably should have our minutes a couple years at least going back.
All right, thank you. You mentioned the ADU. That was something I was going to talk about, so thank you for that one.
Sorry to steal your thunder.
It's all good. All right, the next thing was there was a discussion at the last special council meeting, the workshop, in reference to the potential for sidewalks. And one of the things I wanted to clarify, that something that was posted on Facebook, that I'm just against sidewalks. It's not. I wanted to clarify this, and the fact that I'm doing this up here with you guys, I'd like to clarify it. Anyway, the issue is I didn't have anything to have where the sidewalks were going to go. I had nothing. I had nothing to go on, and it would be irresponsible for me to vote yes for something like that. So that's why I didn't vote. That was one of the reasons I didn't vote yes for. So there was continuing Facebook posts in reference to adding trails, and I was thinking of this, and we have a situation where part of this easement, from what I can tell, by the way, I'm looking at the Lake County maps, so if I'm wrong on this, then please correct me, but it looks like part of this easement goes over where the dump is, essentially, if I'm correct on this, or is. So what I'd like to see is that we get that cleared up, and then we look at adding 15 feet for trails to go to connect over to Mineola and things of that nature. And, at that point we do give the easement, but at the same time we need, extra land for that. We need to be able to ensure that we have enough for a trail, and to do it safely, it would probably be another 15 feet. And I don't know what we were even proposing because I didn't have it in front of me, but that would be something that I could get behind for that. So I just wanted to mention that. I don't know, Brian, you had mentioned at that meeting as well. Is that something that how would you feel about that? Not to put you on the spot, but.
Well, I did agree with the sidewalks. I guess we would have to look at the cost between sidewalks and trails. Also, I do agree with the fact that we didn't really have all the information, so I think there's still more to it before I could fully commit. For example, the easement, Paul, do you happen to know how big that easement is? Like, is it? Because I tried to measure it, and I came up with like 0.21 of an acre. That's the size of the easement.
The easement crossing between the properties? Yeah, I think it's 10 foot wide, maybe. Is that Grant? I mean, Grant knows what it is. Is it 10, Grant?
It's 15 feet wide.
15 foot wide. Then, so there's two sections of it. One divides the property, then the other one divides Bella Colina and the ag piece. So under statute, when you vacate an easement, the only option you have is 50% right down the middle goes to each side of the property owner. So the one that's running, I don't know the direction, but the one running from Fosgate, 50% that would end up going, if they wanted it, would go over to Bella Clina, then 50% will go back to the other parcel, and then the one that's splitting the two parcels, that would go back to him, to Parque Verde.
Would it be possible, I guess, like whenever this does come back up, for us to actually like see maps and?
Oh yeah, it was more just a general, and part of it, I apologize, part of this goes back to council meeting probably 2 years ago where we talked about when we got the money for this, almost 3 years ago, about putting a sidewalk across there. And at that time, there was a discussion that, from what I recall, the council at that time really wasn't interested in that section being a trail because they're worried about too much traffic coming in through the neighborhoods, and a connective sidewalk would be more advantage to the town. So our residents could kind of get to the trail but not encourage, 100 more bikers to drive through town on the trail that would dead end into downtown. So that was a little bit of background. So, it was more of a general discussion, but yeah, we will get more details and go for that, come forward with you guys and bring that forward if you want to talk about that some more.
Would it be possible, just thinking out loud, for something like that, can we survey the residents? Like, is there a way to, I don't know, set up just like a landing page where, do you want sidewalks or do you want trails? Just to get my example across, like, pick one and then, or I don't know, any other way possibly?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest issue we have is right-of-way. We have some right-of-way down 455 heading up from downtown. There's a little bit of right-of-way, then it shrinks down. That whole section of Fosgate and on Ridgewood, getting right-of-way and keeping the grades is very difficult because you have to purchase right-of-way. We can't do anything because right-of-way is just, it's, tens of thousands of dollars. And as we look at trails and sidewalks, we have to keep ADA, it's about the side slope. So, there's drop-offs and things. You can only keep a 0.5% side slope. The up and down is fine, but the side slope is now what they're nailing you on sidewalks and trails. So it makes it very difficult in the area we have without purchasing large pieces of right-of-way. And that's kind of like in these neighborhoods why sidewalk, even on the section we put in from Mag Terrace to Lake over there, I wanted to put in we put a 5-foot in. I wanted to put in an 8-foot wide walk, and the county said no, the slopes aren't going to work. There's just no way to get, because they got to also account for the drainage on the side of the roads and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, that's a little bit long-winded. I apologize, but there's trails aren't feasible without having money throughout. I mean, we do them in some areas, but they're not feasible without having money to purchase right away.
And then quickly, I guess, when should we expect this to come back up? Or I guess next meeting, or the whole easement sidewalk thing?
I honestly haven't thought that far. I'll bring up the next workshop and we can have some more information for you guys.
Right, awesome.
So that would be fine.
Yeah. Sorry, Morgan.
All good there. All good. So I guess I can't really do a vote, I guess. But I mean, Carol, I'll ask you directly then. How are you with trails over in that area? How would you feel about doing trails in that area if we had the ability to do it?
I can't say that I have a preference one way or the other between trails and sidewalk. I think it'll come down to cost and what we have available in terms of right of way and room to put it all together.
Hey, Carol, can you pull your mic?
I don't have a personal, yeah, okay.
Thank you.
But I'll put it on the next agenda if you'd like at the workshop, and we
No
can
one wants to take more
dig
time
into
on
that
that.
a little bit.
Okay, let me make sure if I have anything else. All right, that's all I have for now. That's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let's see, a couple things.
Catch this up.
Any update on Chris Anthony's Island?
So yeah, the last discussions we had, they were working with their attorney to put that island into the will. Anita, our town attorney, had a conversation with their attorney, and so it really is, I guess, in their court. Would that be fair to say, Anita, on the island? I don't think there's anything else for us to do at this point.
Okay.
I've been starting to dream about it a little bit, what it could be for the town and stuff like that. And
it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Let's see, the septic company in Ferndale, any update on that?
No, nothing,
Okay.
nothing yet. And it's still, last I talked, it's still pending, but there hasn't been any new information on that as far as it going forward or not.
So what do? We're watching it to come up on the agenda, and then we're going to voice our opinion? Is that how you're going to do it?
They are supposed to be responding to comments that were issued to them as the applicant, and we're waiting for that information to be submitted, and then it'll go back out for review before it's scheduled on a hearing.
So you'll be able to review it?
Yes,
Okay.
it'll come to Paul and I, and we'll review it and provide comments on the town's behalf.
Alrighty, thank you. And going back to the speed bumps on Kirkland, like I said, I sat there 4 different times, saw it. The cars are going very fast. I don't know if anybody remembers, but 10 years ago, we removed the speed bump from Kirkland because it was right there, pretty much next to the young lady here that has the house now that Ruth Ryan had. And a high percentage of the people that were speeding were from the Pines. And her point about the people that should vote on this being on Kirkland, not including the Pines, I kind of have to agree with that myself. So I want the council to consider what we should do about slowing down traffic on Kirkland. I don't know if you have any insight on that. We talked about the 20-mile-an-hour speed bump and the 15-mile-an-hour speed bump. And then, of course, the ones we use are the ones that you have to slow down and go over. So I think we need to address that sooner or later, pretty soon.
Sure. As follow-up discussion and what I recall from council, we were going to try to look into some policies and some options for council to kind of more look at it broadly. In the meantime, I'm going to seek the Highway Patrol to try to get a presence out there once in a while and have some enforcement out there to see. I mean, it won't help all the time, but a couple times out there, it'll take note. It's worked in other areas, so we'll do that. And then I'm also looking whether it be portable or some signs that would be easily in and out where we can't have the speed radar signs when we have issues, because a lot of people aren't just paying attention. And the Highway Patrol does like sitting right by those signs when people are speeding because it takes away their whole entire thoughts of, I have a defense, I didn't know. So, I mean, for right now, that's what I'm looking at. Obviously, the council wants to, we don't have any speed bumps in stock we would have to order if you wanted to do something, or speed humps.
I don't know if that's what I'm getting at. I don't really think we want to do speed bumps there, because I did put a speed bump there and removed it after about 5 years. And it did slow everybody down, but the more I've seen the speed bumps, like you sent me some samples of other kind of things to use, the more I see the speed bumps. I went to Mount Dora today, and on the back road going in, it has speed humps, and they're the 20-mile-an-hour ones, and the signs are up, so you slow down, and you can go 20 mile an hour and not hurt your car. So that's kind of what I'm looking at, maybe getting over there. So if you guys could think about it, because I do believe we owe this person some kind of solution on that, because unless you sit there and watch, I went different times of the day and sit there and watch when the people were coming and going back to work, and they were going very fast. They were going over 40 miles an hour, easy. So they speeded up quite a bit since 5 years ago, 8 years ago.
Why council? I mean, I'll definitely we'll put that also back on the agenda at the workshop if you'd like. In the meantime, I will get Highway Patrol out there to do patrols. In the very near future, there's, which always does help a little bit, we will have obviously construction crews out there that are going to start surveying probably sometime later this fall. You'll have some activity. Eventually, there's going to be some road work. From the long-term perspective, we can also look at adding some different measures in that encourages cars to slow down on roads when we do the construction of the roads. There's a lot of traffic calming devices. Speed bumps is one of many options that councils can use.
Okay, and the other thing I saw Carol brought up, the email we got today, and I just want to make sure, Anita, in your opinion, should we put that to the side at the moment and just wait to talk about it? Or you want to review it now? I'm not real clear on what we should do.
I'd like to complete the research before there's a discussion on it.
So you'd like to wait? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Can you
It was vague on purpose.
Yeah,
The
email
and
was a
my
little
question was
vague,
basically
too,
about
so.
procedure that could possibly come before the council in the future, how that might actually unfold. Okay, and that's really all my question was about. Was I could call it a hypothetical situation since the future has yet to determine what's going to happen. So my question, we could just say is hypothetical. Okay, but that,
Are we having public comment?
I do not know.
Are we having public comment?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Can you give us an overview real quick, Paul, on what's going on, so at least we're all on the same page?
Yeah, and Mayor, I apologize. I need to defer to Anita at this point, and she would like to complete what she's doing, and I think that is right now probably the best interest. And within 2 weeks, I think you'll have a detailed follow-up email in the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
If we could wait.
That's
Thank you,
fine.
Mayor.
I don't want to push it. I just want to make sure it's clear. All right. It's not clear, but that's okay. All right, let's move on. Beginning balance was $5,380,016.30. The ending balance was $5,075,869.08. We're going to go on to resolution 2026-01.
Mayor, we have a consent agenda first.
I'm sorry. Oh yeah.
Consent
yeah.
agenda.
I'm sorry. I need to get approval on the consent agenda. Need a motion or any problems you got with it? Anybody want to make a motion? I make a motion we accept the minutes from January 13th, 2026.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Against, say nay. Alrighty, moving on to, if you would please read 2026-01. Thank you.
A resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Montverde, Florida, granting final development plan approval for a 137 single-family lots residential subdivision generally located north of Osgood Road, east of County Road 455, and west of Lake Apopka, within the Town of Montverde, Lake County, Florida, and providing for an effective date.
Alrighty, you want to explain that?
Yeah, I'll jump in and have Mr. Parks follow up with any questions you may have. So, Council, first of all, I want to start with the resolution that's in front of you. As you consider approval of the resolution, I'm going to ask that you consider approving it with the conditions that all of the final comments from the engineer, attorney, and town planner will be met. As a final approval of that. Usually we have that clause in there, and I apologize. We put the wrong one in there.
Planning zoning already saw this, right?
Yeah, and planning zoning. So planning zoning saw this and approved it. So I want to explain what you're seeing. So previously you have approved a PUD, preliminary unit development plan. That was approved by council. You've also approved a preliminary plat. This is the final step in the process. This is what's called the final development plan. So basically, this is just the engineering plans, the technical documents that goes through. And you can see we put within the staff report, Mr. Parks did, kind of under our code, the conditions. So this is more of a staff level review of the details, but it is a process where it becomes before the council. So our engineer has reviewed it, our attorney reviewed it, our planner. It is in substantial conformance with your PUD and preliminary plat documents. It contains 137 lots, 1.5 DUs for dwelling units, 32% open space, includes landscaper buffers. As required in the PUD, it has environmental swells. I'll just go over the highlights of it. You know, a lot of it, this is this size water line, this size detention. We're not going to go into that. Includes the right-of-ways for the roads, the interior sidewalks that are required under our code. The Miami curbs are going in. This one, it includes all the easement plans that are a part of it for the necessary easements for utilities, right-of-ways, drainage, anything that would be allowed under that. This is the overall grading plan, so that's kind of uses your storm water for the grading plan. So they submitted everything that's required under the town code and under best engineering practices. Again, this is a more dive into what the drainage plan looks like. And on the other end of the property, as you can tell, you know, they kept those large swells, all that area that you kind of see highlighted kind of toward the lake, that's all going to be HOA maintained. They still have to provide the final HOA documents for the town to review, so we'll be looking into those as a condition of the permit. We'll add that into the permit. Utility plan, so this is your water lines, your sewer lines. It's all in accordance and been reviewed by our town engineer. And on the other side, and on the other side. And that's just a detail of the street plans. So again, this is somewhat of an administrative process that you're doing, but our code does require come before council and you're kind of the stamp off on the final set of plans before construction goes into place.
So this is more or less double checking that they're doing exactly what we told them to do, and our professionals are telling us they did, right?
Yes, sir. This is to make sure it is the final step in making sure what was promised and envisioned in the land use and the PUD ordinance itself, that it is, in compliance with that, as to what was approved. It is much more specific, as Paul has indicated, a good job explaining everything, where you had the engineer, the attorney, the planners look over it in great detail. It's in substantial conformance with it. There's still a few things that we're going to follow up with: HOA docs, the homeowner's manual, the sign, making sure that the signage is, the actual fixtures match, just ensuring the fixtures match all the other fixtures that are around the town. Want to make sure that there's no question that'll be clear. And just keep in mind as well, this is what your staff will do as they move forward. They still got to get zoning clearances for the individual lots. So if there's something that is still not cleared up, and if there's any kind of question, the zoning clearance isn't issued. So I know the applicant knows that. So it's in their interest, obviously, from this point, if there is anything, or we have any questions, something's unclear, that they get that cleared up as well before a zoning clearance is issued.
And during the construction process, our town engineers, which is half engineering, they come out, they do site visits, they work, they do the inspections. Our public works also helps and completes the inspections on site. I do as well. So their review through the process, they're going to require to post a performance bond. So if they start and walk away, there's going to be enough to return the site to its original condition. When all the utilities are in, and all the improvements are in, they'll have to post a maintenance bond. I believe it's 4 years is what our code says for the maintenance bond, and that'll guarantee for the first 4 years everything's covered and the town doesn't have any out expenses or anything as the development goes through. And the applicant, if you don't have any other questions for staff, the applicant is here if you have any questions for them.
I have some staff questions, actually.
Yes.
So on page 1, it's missing a date. Page 1, section 1, says...
Are we talking on the plan or the...
I think the resolution. Yeah, so because there were some outstanding comments, they did resubmit recently, but our review time has not expired. So once we have the final set where all the consultants have signed off, then we will insert that into the resolution. So we're asking you to approve it subject to them meeting all the reviewing comments.
Okay. And then I had, what page am I on here? Page 3. The first one, you have 1/14/2025. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the date should have been 1/14/2026, and it should have been council recommended approval of resolution 2026-01. Right? I'm confused on.
Are you on the staff report?
No, I'm sorry. I'm on page 3 from the resolution. So if you're on resolution, it's page 1, 2.
The resolution is
staff
just
report.
2
I'm sorry,
pages.
staff report. Yes,
Okay.
I apologize.
I'll defer to Mr. Parks.
Yeah, thank you. Okay.
Well, those are the
I thought
resolution 20. I mean, that's a different resolution.
Okay, but I thought
Yeah,
the date, 'cause I went back and looked. I went back and looked at our previous meetings, and I didn't think they lined up correctly. I just was curious.
I mean, that 179 is at the. I mean, there's.
So I think the issue, Sean, is 114 should be 114/26.
Right.
So that's the issue. And that's on the staff report, so it's not consequential, but we will make a note and get that changed.
Okay, but I mean, what was the what's that resolution number, though? Can you?
So for me,
I mean, what is it? What is?
Oh.
So it should state, under background information, it should be 1/14/26 P&Z recommended approval of resolution 2026-01 final development.
Okay, but was 2025-179 approved last year? Because we've had a couple of ordinances for this.
That appears to be the preliminary plan.
Yeah, I have preliminary
Yeah.
with a question mark too.
Okay.
Yeah, so that top one is incorrect, Sean. It is 26 and 2026-01. It's because it's the final development plan. So that's what went through P&Z last month.
Okay. All right. I'm just.
And then also in the staff report, I know you'd mentioned the conditions. I just wanted to. My concern a little bit was that they aren't in here. So I guess and I know you had mentioned them a little bit there, but can you repeat that again if you don't mind? Like what conditions? They're going to meet all of the conditions? Which conditions? Yes.
I don't know what all the conditions are because I don't know what the other reviewers had. I had a list of 11, so I think the way that the staff report is written, it would be to recommend approval as long as they meet the conditions and recommendations outlined in the review letters of the town engineer, the Lake County engineer, because they're looking at traffic issues, town planner, town attorney, and town manager.
Okay, thank you.
And yeah, and just so you know, they have resubmitted the documents. They're doing their final review. These plans tend to be somewhat of a slightly living document because when you're in the field, there's going to be tons of requests for minor changes and alterations, and the engineer is going to put additional, nothing substantial that would have to come back before council. But, you know, it may be, hey, we have a valve showing here and we're missing one over here, and they're going to have to turn in a RFI that'll get approved by our engineer. So there's going to be, you know, that lives through the document that whatever they submit to our engineer, town attorney for changes, it's going to have to meet the town code, and our engineer will sign off on it. And that's pretty common through the process. You're going to get change orders from them, or RFIs as we would do it throughout the process. So that gives you guys the knowing that anything they change, if they didn't get approval from the town engineer, attorney, or the applicable or the planner, then we're going to come back and make them fix it when it's discovered.
Thank you.
All righty. Anybody want to talk about it? Come on up.
I had some questions, so I guess I'll wait.
You wait till after them, yeah.
Kelly. Kelly Moore, 17029 Florence View Drive, Montverde. A couple things Paul said has me a little concerned regarding this Fosgate Road situation. When you met with the consultant and the DEP last Friday,
We're talking about the
are you just talking about this? We
We're
don't.
talking about the development right now.
Okay, I'll come back. Thank you.
Okay. Brian, you got something?
Yeah, I don't know if staff could answer this or maybe the applicant, but it had to do in regards to wetlands, fire hydrants, tree survey, and lift stations. So.
Sure. So I'll have the applicant come forward, but I'll try to answer. So do you have specific questions about them?
Yeah, so for the lift stations, I saw a few there. I was under the impression they're going to have septic tanks.
Correct. From my understanding, there's one piece, let me find the map, that they'll have I don't have a pointer here, but I think, correct me, Brian, if I'm wrong, the very top kind of where it goes up in the circle, do you guys still have a lift station up there? And just because of the grades, this will be the clean effluent, as I remember Colin explaining. I'll let you correct me if I'm wrong. The very top parcels, you look at that plat, is going to require a lift station to lift that treated effluent or over to the drainage fields.
And is it just one or is it multiple?
One that I'm aware of.
For the wetlands, I guess maybe this is more like educational.
Yes, sir.
Obviously, the north side is surrounded by wetlands.
Yes, sir.
I guess what is there in place to mitigate disturbing those wetlands, like during the build process and even afterwards once the entire PUD is built out?
Yeah, good question on there. So, and Sean will correct me as I go through this process. So, all those lots on the left-hand side, which is the major wetland there, the majority of those lots are going to have a retaining wall on the backside. I believe it's high as 16 foot or something along in that line. So that those lots are broken off. Then there is an easement for Mr. Anthony's road running in the back. And I believe we have language that we put in the PUD maybe that states there's going to have to be signage of, this is a private access road, no access back there. So basically, it's an easement, but an easement they can't use back there. So you're going to have kind of a wall barrier, and then you're also going to have some signage back there as well. Then our normal town code says you can't disturb or do anything within 50 foot of that wetland line. Is that correct, Sean?
That's correct, and there'll also be a homeowner's manual for each of those lots. So those lots along that backside will have an individual homeowner's manual, so they'll be aware that this is wetlands back there. Don't go back there and dump your grass clippings and stuff like that. You'll see the signage that it's an easement. So just through that process alone, too, there'll be an added protection of trying to keep people aware that it serves a function.
And then during the build process, then I assume staff is going to go out there every once in a while to just ensure the wetlands are not being disturbed, or?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So we contract with a group called Surface Water Professionals, which is Marianne and Ron. And so they assist us with all of our MPDS permitting that's our stormwater permitting, and also the inspection process, because we actually probably have one of the most robust inspections of, I think, any town in more than Lake County. And so with that said, they're going to all those areas will have to be protected through silt fence. That silt fence will have to be maintained. It is we as a town inspect it every other week, and the applicant is required to, I believe, inspect it weekly and after every storm event to make sure it's maintained. And we actively do that, and actually even in the Willow Ridge subdivision, they weren't doing that, and we had an active code enforcement case, and there was several $500 sections of fines every time we found it because they weren't maintaining it. So that's where we got to with them. So we're very robust, especially on the lake. They'll have to have the whole lake area protected as well during construction. And usually the developers aren't bad. It's when the home builders start getting there, things get bad, but we stay on top of it.
Okay. And just curious, I know this topic came up before this PUD was approved, but it had to do in regards to artifacts. Is there a protocol of some sort that, they start obviously developing the land and they come across artifacts? Like, who's getting, I guess, informed? Is it the town first, or is it another agency?
Sure, actually, and I'll defer Mr. Parks. I think he has experience in that. And
yeah, that's a great question. We wanted early on to make sure staff did to make sure that it'd be consistent with your comp plan, recognizing that this site had some historic resources. There was a mitigation phase 3 in the archaeological world. They call it phase 3, where they do mitigation. They actually go and they do pits and plots and excavate and take the artifacts and they're taken off site. That was done a number of years ago. Certainly could provide that report to you. It's actually in the comprehensive plan, I believe. We also included a copy there as well. There will be to meet the compliance with the comprehensive plan, they are required to put up kiosk and do education, and that will be partly in the homeowner's manual, but also in the kiosk that are going to be the interpretive kiosks, as we're calling them, that will be placed in locations around this subdivision, obviously describing the historic significance and what was there at one time. And I'm sure there will be messages on there that if there's artifacts that are found, the appropriate way to handle that and who to report to. It's possible that artifacts could still be found on the site. So we'll want to definitely make sure that people know what to do if they're found.
And I assume that information is going to also pass down to like the individual builders. Because obviously developers are aware, but.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Definitely. There'll be, just like with, and I think we'll definitely make sure this is done. Just like with wildlife, because the wildlife concerns have come up, with things like the indigo snake, for instance, which just bring that one up. Each builder, when the process is underway, will be informed that if they see indigo snakes, which is a protected species in Florida, that they have to stop work and they report it to Fish and Wildlife, and then so appropriate action is taken from there. Same thing goes with any other listed species. They will be educated. The builders will be required. There'll be posters put up on site. If you see this, you stop work and report to Fish and Wildlife and the town as well.
Is there a minimum of posters? Like, is there?
That's a good question. I think that there's probably only one that's required, but I'm sure we can put them up in several locations. Yeah.
And Sean does write our permit, so we can put a notice in every single permit. That's not a bad idea. Just, what to do if you find this and da-da-da, when we issue the individual house permits. I think that would be a good idea.
Perfect. Fire hydrants. I didn't see anything there in regards to fire hydrants. Is that at some point later down the line that it comes up, or?
I don't have that specific because they're probably small. They definitely should be in there. They are there. We do the AWA standard, which I believe is every 600 feet. Is that correct, Ryan? You want to just maybe come up and address that, or tell me what page it is, and I can glance at that. I'm sure it'll be page L something.
Good evening, Brian Ashby, 6876 Marwick Lane, Suite 350, Orlando, Florida. Yes, we have fire hydrants throughout the entire development to meet town code. The spacing, off the top of my head, I believe Paul was right about the 600 linear feet, or every 600 feet. I don't have that number off the top of my head. I do know our plan complies with town code for that. We don't dimension it on the plan, but we do have them throughout the entire development since the preliminary plat stage. So, yeah.
When do they go in, the fire hydrants? Like, land is
fire
clear, then they
hydrants
go in?
So the fire hydrants go in per NFPA standards before you go vertical with any sort of combustibles. You have to have all your water lines in, cleared, fire hydrants ready to go. That is a Florida building code. That is a National Fire Protection Agency requirement as well. So when the site is cleared and they start putting all the water lines in, the hydrants get put in at the same exact time. So every hydrant will be put in place when the water line is fully cleared and ready for service. And that has to happen before any vertical construction takes place or any combustibles are brought on site.
Okay. And then in regards to the trees, I saw there were some tree surveys in there.
Mhm.
I guess, can you elaborate a little bit more? I know that some of them showed that they're getting basically taken out. Some of them are staying. What,
That's
I guess,
correct.
dictates that, or?
What dictates that is the grading requirement of the site. Our goal was to try to maintain as much of the natural lakeshore as possible, and we worked with staff throughout that process. It's a very steep lakeshore out there today, in some cases a 1-to-1 side slope. So kind of catching grade to meet, code requirements, which is a 4-to-1 side slope. When you do that, to provide a safer, more walkable side slope along a bank, you're going to end up removing a couple trees because of that. But if you do look at our plan, you'll see a vast majority of the lakefront will remain in its existing condition. So any trees that we're calling out to be removed, either A, there's like 1 or 2 that fall right smack dab in the middle of the site. One's a very old water oak that's not doing so great, to be quite honest with you. And then the other one is like an old palm tree that's sitting out in the middle of the site. All the rest that we are shown to be removed are on that bank of Lake Apopka, and all of those are being removed. I say not all of them. The ones that we are showing to be removed are being removed due to grading.
Thank you. I think that's it for me.
Understood.
Alrighty. I want to add something. Not for you. And Montverde has 37 acres left to build on, and that's it. That 37 acres is going down Ridgewood towards the mobile home park, going east from the roundabout, on the right side, bordering Bella Colina. There's no other place in Montverde anymore to build that has any acreage. Maybe a couple places that have 8 acres, and I keep an eye on it, and I know every piece of property in Montverde, I think. What I'm getting at is if somebody wanted to build anything more than 2 homes per acre, we passed an ordinance that they have to have 4 people here vote and agree to that. That's not going to happen, in my opinion. So Montverde is going to be completely built out. We have no industrial land, so we don't have to worry about any of that stuff going on. And we have very little commercial property. So you're going to live in a town that you don't have to worry about everything that Claremont has to worry about, Mineola and Howey and Astatula, we're done. Pretty much done, except for the 37 acres, which that's why we passed out ordinance in November.
As long as we let them do the funky math, we're good, right?
The what?
The funky math, I call it the funky math.
I don't know what you
Gross.
mean.
You know, everything's gross.
Well, it's 2 homes per acre gross, and that means if they have 37 acres, they could build 74 homes, but they have to do it to the way we want it, and that's it. But that, that's the only spot left to do that in. There's, like I said, there's probably 8-acre spots here and there, like off of Ridgewood and a couple other places. So that 8 acres, if they can put 2 homes per acre on that, it would be 16 homes. But that's very small building compared to what we've faced in the last 20 years. We've built many developments in the last 20 years in Montverde, pretty much done. So I'm tired, and I'm gonna say that's done. That part of Montverde is done. What would you say, Sean? Would you agree?
That there's not much left? Yes.
Okay. He's our planner. Anyway, but okay, well, we need to decide on this. Is everybody comfortable with?
And Mayor, we do need public comment on it, please.
Oh, I'm sorry, I have to get public comment. Yeah. Anybody want to talk about it? Come on up.
George Gansmower, 17740 Neil Drive. You just had the thing, the picture up there, and not this one, the last one. No, keep going. That one. What is yellow and that line coming through? That's some kind of sewage treatment plant, and all that yellow is in our front yard, and I'd like to know what the yellow is, the whole bottom line. Why is it like that? And some of the lines there, I don't understand them. These pipes, are they going out? How far? And what exactly is coming out of those pipes? Because it's going to be right in our front yard.
Can you answer that?
So what's shown in yellow is consistent with what we've shown from the beginning of the PUD, and I'd be happy to kind of walk the City Council and the residents through it as well. So each lot, or a combination of 2 lots, will be treated by what's called a distributed wastewater treatment system, which is essentially it's a DEP permitted, essentially mini treatment plant, which is significantly treats wastewater to a significantly higher standard than, say, your traditional septic tank. It removes more, up to, at a minimum, 80% nitrogen, as well as total suspended solids, BOD, other things that are required by DEP. Once it goes through that treatment, which is like a 3-step process in each one of those tanks, it then drains, or actually it goes through a low pressure system to that lift station that we talked about due to the elevation change. That lift station then turns on, pumps that the treated effluent, and then it pumps it up to that drain field to the south end. That's where the higher, sandier soils are, and from there it's essentially, for the most part, almost to reclaim water standards, so what you would irrigate your yard with. And from there, it saturates into the ground, just like a normal drain field, but to a much, much, much DEP level standard.
So it's like an on-site system?
It is, yes.
And the on-site system goes 90% or 89% clear?
As far as removal of nitrogen, that's anywhere between 80 and 90%.
Okay. And a normal septic tank does what?
Pretty much nothing.
Right.
It relies on the ground only.
Well,
yes, everything's underground.
So we don't see that at all?
Homeowners won't
All
see it.
underground.
Nobody will see it.
yeah, it's how many? It's quite a few feet underground.
Yeah, typically cover is anywhere between 2 to 5 feet of cover below ground.
Right. So, and what's the distance from the road to the end of the yellow part?
So along our southern boundary, we have a 30-foot landscape buffer with also a 10-foot trail easement within that 30-foot landscape buffer. So that's to essentially the lot lines. From there, the actual DWTS drain field is about another 30 feet on top of that. So it's a minimum, an absolute minimum of about 60 feet from our property line.
So the road, like George's house, the road across the street, that's gonna go 30 foot and another 30 foot?
So we have a 30-foot landscape buffer, and then the distributed wastewater tanks themselves, those drain field tanks, are about another 30 feet away from.
Underground?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you understand that?
Landscaping right at the road?
There'll be landscaping in the 30-foot easement around the trail, which would include trees. Yeah, which would include trees and shrubs. Over the drain field, which you won't see, will be landscape, but it can't be shrubs and trees because the drain field, so it'll be probably like ground covers or sod. I don't know if it could, I guess it could be sod.
I've been landscaping those things for 50 years, and I've yet to find one that doesn't stink. And I've worked for every builder from New York to Florida. I've worked for numerous builders.
Right.
And that's what's got my attention, because every one of them, I get paid a lot of money to hide the sewage treatment plants in the various.
Sorry, Mayor, because they're recording.
Oh, I'm sorry. You gotta get up and talk, 'cause I can't hear you. Now, remember, these on-site systems that they're used these days are brand new on the market, about 2-3 years. We almost bought them for the town, but the grant went away. But,
I worked right out on 50, most of the north, all out there, Greater Hills, Greater Pines, Horizon, Arrowhead, Magnolia, I did them all.
well, no,
And
they're
I-
not the same as these, George, that's what I'm saying.
I
The
understand.
on-site systems are mini sewer plants in the ground.
Well, the tanks was the first time I heard that. You know, why is it that has to come out in our front yard? Why can't it put it in a field of some kind, you know, open spaces, and let it fertilize the plants? If it's so good. I mean, that's my biggest concern. And it's highlighted in yellow again. Why? I mean, there's gotta be a reason, you know, and later on, it's too late. And that's my problem. And
Well, that's
so-
DEP though. But we don't decide that. They go to DEP, from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, but they go to DEP and show DEP the plan. They don't come to us and ask us anything.
Well, this stuff will be 5 feet under the ground, he said?
Yeah, they're ribs that are buried underground. So if it comes to the surface, it's not working, then there's a problem. Then they'll have to fix it, obviously. But it always, with the soils there.
Again, I've had a lot of
Sure.
experience, New York to Florida, man, and a lot of builders. And I'm quite leery of that. I can't understand why we couldn't put it in one of these open areas.
You know, if I recall, I don't think I have a close-up, but we did have them put some buffering across there. And Brian could probably, I don't have it in there, but there's the road. There's the old Osgood Road that's showing there. Then there's a trail that's through there, a landscaped area. And so there's a buffer, then it's going in behind that. So it's kind of going behind the houses, but behind the buffer. So it's not coming up right to the
How
road.
much of that hill they gonna cut down to get this to be pumped up?
See, what
I
you'll
can't
see-
answer that.
What you'll see in the first 30 feet is you'll see a trail that could meander a little bit, and they'll have trees that are planted in there and shrubs. And then beyond that, in that area is where like I was saying before, you'll see the ground, it'll be ground cover. It could be wildflower, I don't know. I'm just, we'll get to that.
Just call it grass for
Yeah,
now.
it needs to be,
I've
yeah.
had so much experience in this.
I'm just trying to give you a visual for what it might look like, because I understand the question.
They never showed me the visual. I asked
Yeah.
numerous times.
Yeah.
And everyone was just scattered, and they go Florida fancy. Well, that's garbage, and you know it. I don't want to look at it.
Yeah.
I think what everybody's missing is we don't decide where that goes. DEP decides that. We have no say in where the sewer goes. But they are saying it's 60 feet from the road, and there's going to be a trail and trees. And then on the other side of that, it's going to be 60 feet away, 5 foot in it.
Well, where are they putting Osgood Road? Now it's green grass. Are they going to go from the fence in 60 feet, or, where does it start? Because Osgood Road never was there. There's nothing there.
Right. But they're using it as a marker.
Well, understood, but it's a big stretch, between the fence. I'm just curious as to what they're going to be taking out.
Well, it's going to be 60 feet from the road that you're on.
From our road or from Osgood Road?
Here, then, can you explain that again, sir?
I'm wondering if we could zoom in on the graphic. Is that,
Can you-
no? Okay.
You know the road that's there right now that we
Mhm.
use?
Very familiar with it.
That's Neil.
How far is it from the north side of that road in?
So from the north side of the road, we have a 30-foot, again, we have a 30-foot track that is a landscape buffer with also a trail.
Is that what we're calling Osgood Road?
No,
Where's Osgood Road?
south of that.
Oh, okay, so now I think you're mixing the road that's actually there. Are you calling that Osgood Road?
There,
That's there right now is Neil.
there-
Right, but
there's technically no, I'll just put it this way, there's technically no road within our property limits today, no actual platted road.
Right, so what he's saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, Neil Road's here, Osgood Road that we're calling is above it, and you're saying on that side of, the north side of, Osgood Road, which is another 30 feet, then it's 60 feet away. See that, you're mixed up because you don't live here, and I understand that, but you see what I'm saying? Okay.
I think with the
Neil
road,
Road, it's
yeah.
gonna be 90 feet from Neil Road. It's 60 feet from Osgood. Osgood is above it, right above it.
Yeah.
Can you feel the regular picture?
It's 90 to 100 feet. I think if the question is how far is it from the
From
southern
Neil Road.
from the southern part of it, you're going to have like a 90 to 100 foot distance.
Right, and that's what we're getting mixed up here. He doesn't
Yeah.
understand Neil Road or Osgood Road. We do.
Yeah, because there's two
Right.
like this.
No, I understand that, yeah.
It's-
I'm more familiar with Osgood because it's directly adjacent to our development.
Right,
So
and
yeah.
that's not a road we use.
No.
Neil
Yeah.
Road is the road we use.
Yeah.
Which is another 30 foot away.
Yep.
So the actual 5 foot in the ground is 90 foot from Neil Road, not 60.
Correct. So, and if I can add on to that, there is also a retaining wall. So from the edge of from the north side of that trail easement, you go 2 feet into the lots. We also have about, it varies between 5 and 6 feet of a retaining wall on
Yeah.
top of that.
No, we're okay. We're
Okay. All right.
It's just hard because everybody's thinking a little different, but we're okay.
Cool.
Okay, we're 90 feet away, 5 foot in the ground. Does that make sense to you guys? Brian? Good. Grant?
What was the determination with the eagle's nest on the property?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
What was the determination of the eagle's nest that was on the property?
The determination of the eagle's nest?
Yeah.
Actually, I'd have to ask Tom because I believe it. Tom, yeah, that's what I thought. There is no active eagle's nest on the property. Yeah. Sorry, it'd been a while since I read the environmental report, about 3 years.
That good?
And Mayor and Council, I provided a landscape graph to them so they have a visual
So
to look
George,
at that now.
Do you see what we're talking about with Neil and Osgood and 90 feet from Neil?
Well, from Neil, if that's the case, then 90 feet in, then
Right.
it's a lot.
90 feet in, it'll go 5 foot down at that point. It's far from Neil Drive.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be 5 foot down, so.
But when I was looking at it, sure looked like that trail was right along Neil Drive.
Right, because, me too, because we thought that's Osgood Road, but Neil Drive's below it.
Okay, it sounds good, but I mean, if that's what it works out.
No, that's what, I'm sure it is, I'm sure it is.
Yep.
And then maybe 90 feet off of Neil Road is where it's gonna go in.
Okay.
And,
All right, you're good, thank you. You're good.
You'll have to come up if you
Yeah,
have
come up
questions.
to Mike
of,
if you wanna talk, come on up. All right, you good, George? Okay, thank you. You good? Okay, thank you. All right, I'll bring it back to council, and let's talk about it. Anybody wanna talk about it? So, how I'm understanding it, and you guys chip in, our professionals told them what to do, we got all the plans in place, and they're following the plan exactly the way our engineers and our planner and, our city manager is telling them to do. Am I wrong? Okay, so You got any questions? Brian, Grant? Carol, Joe? Okay, so at this point, we need a motion, or not a motion. Anybody want to do a motion? What was the, let me see, let me help you with this. I make a motion that we approve 2026-01.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye. Oh, we gotta stop?
We're just asking that it be conditioned on that they have to meet all the reviewers' comments.
Okay.
And who's going to verify that?
Each reviewer will make sure when they review this final submittal that we received, that our comments have each been addressed. If not, they'll have to resubmit.
And then you fill out the resolution with that date and...
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and that'll have the final dated plans.
Okay, so I add to my motion.
One question. So the date that we're talking, that's what we'll see on here then, right?
Yes, so once we have the final set that everybody signed off on, we'll insert the date of those plans in this resolution.
Thank you.
So you want me to add what now? Final,
The approval is subject to them meeting all the conditions of the reviewers.
okay, to make my motion with the approval has to be approved by all reviewers.
I'll second.
No, wait a minute, you should second, right?
Oh, you.
Yeah.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against say nay.
Nay.
Okay, ayes have it. All righty, thank you very much. That was a long 3 years. All right, let's go down the road here. We've got 4 minutes to do 4 things.
Okay.
Let's do the development updates. You can do that from 30 seconds.
I can do it. So council, just most of this stuff is some updates. I just wanted to give you an update. Council's asked in the past kind of where we're at with the current developments we have going on. Willow Ridge, so far we have issued 237 total lots. The town has issued 181 certificates of occupancy for someone to occupy a house. There currently are 15 homes under construction. 14 that have not been permitted or started, so there's 14 lots left, and 27 that's in permitting. So Patty's been busy. And just kind of a little more in depth on Willow Ridge, where we're at with everything. Phase 1, we've done a punch list for phase 1. It's primarily closed out, except for there still are some outstanding landscape issues that haven't been taken care of. And the irrigation wells, we're still working with them to figure out what they're going to do to provide a little additional irrigation water to the site, because it's lacking from what we need for the full build out. So that's on them. So we're holding that. They also, in phase 2, they have not called for a final punch list of the infrastructure yet. Again, we'll do the full inspection of everything. So that's when that's involved. It's our public works crew, myself, Sean Parks, half engineers usually bring 2 people out, and we literally walk every single site, both sides, crack curb, crack sidewalk, even though it's behind gates, they have to fix it. Also, just so you know, they have provided a maintenance bond for phase 1. I don't recall the exact amount. I believe it was in the $300,000 range, and we're still holding about a $1.85 million performance bond on the site as well until they get those couple of things fixed. We'll be working with them to reduce the performance bond for the outstanding items once they do the punch list, and then provide a maintenance bond going forward. So that would be something myself and your town attorney will be working on probably over the next 45 to 60 days. The other developments, Popka Sound, so that's the one that we just provide the water and sewer service. We get the water from Oakland, we send the sewer to Claremont, so we're just kind of the utility in the middle because it's under 180. It's 98% built out. I believe there still is 1 lot or 2 left in there. And again, those are the services we provide out there. When that was done, that was pre-me. The mayor negotiated, I believe, a 5-year maintenance bond with them. So we still have several years under that maintenance bond. We really haven't had any major issues out there, except for we did have a generator switch issue out there, which Chuck's been working on getting replaced, and he's been in contact with the developer to fund that replacement. Lastly, Hills of Montverde. So this is, again, not in the town limits. This is the development as you go down our new beautiful Fossgate Road by the bridge on the left-hand side. That's the American Homes for Rent. It's 91 homes that are provided there. The town's will provide water and sewer services to that. So far, they have purchased 36 meters or 36 units, so they have permitted with the county 36 units. They're doing them in mainly groups of 8 or 9 at a time out there when they do the permitting for meters. The town still has to work to get, we actually have some transfer of land that they'll transfer to the town, and also a few the final utilities and assets there. So that's something, again, that myself and the town attorney over the next few months will start finalizing that now that they're getting closer to their COs on the site. That's all I have for developments. Any questions on those? That was 5 minutes. I apologize. All right. I wanted to real quickly go into, let me scoot over here a little bit. Thank you. I just, I wanted to kind of go a little bit of development. We talked, obviously development, there's negatives of development, there's some positives of development. I just wanted to look at, as we plan as a council, as we're going to be coming up to budget, I just wanted to look at the financial side of development and the impacts. More on the positive side, obviously more residents, there's going to be more demand for services and expenses, and so but I also want to look at, there's also additional revenue that's created for us to provide some of those services. I just went back and looked at 2023 under impact fees, and to date we've collected roughly $200,000 in park and rec impact fees, 1.486 million in water impact fees, 414,000 administrative impact fees, and road and street impact fees of approximately $200,000 so far that we've collected. This is in addition to the $250,000 that Willow Ridge provided for upfront impact fees. Will also be added to that. Looking at property taxes going forward, I mean, who knows what the legislators will do, but currently Willow Ridge has brought in about $242,000 in new property tax this last year, and projected a full build out, and this is being super conservative, assuming there's a lot of homesteads and things like that. Super conservative, about $510,000, both Osgood and Montverde Estates will each bring in about another $250,000 apiece. In addition, through these various developments, the town has leveraged and worked to have the developers pay for stuff that's not covered or would be covered under impact fees or other development costs that have effects on the town. And those totals bring up to about $2.8 million. That's anything from the Hills of Montverde providing town with $300,000, $100,000 for trails, $200,000 for the water system, then turning over $1 million water system to the town, from the developers that just left providing $1.5 million to do road improvements, Willow Ridge providing $250,000 up front plus doing trail costs. So nearly to $3 million worth of additional improvements the developers have provided to the town, and this has all been really within the last 3 years. That's happened. So that's all I have. I just want to share some numbers with you because we don't often talk about that side of things, and that's just a very brief overview. Any questions on that?
Quick question, Paul.
Yes, sir.
In regards to staff, so since 2023, obviously Willow Ridge, has been in motion, and so I guess my question would be, from 2023 to now, has staff been stretched out to where we had to add additional positions or hiring?
Most definitely. And I won't contribute that all to Willow Ridge. Some of it's the capital projects, some of it from the new programs that council wants to do, residents' requests for additional services, things along that line. But yes, yeah, we have grown our staff.
How about permitting? Has permitting, I guess, received a huge workload on permits?
Yeah, most definitely. So our permitting official used to be also the front office person that answered the phones and also did the water permitting. Now we have a dedicated person to permitting, and we contract out a lot of services. It was obviously, there was no permitting really going on outside a garage here and some, Sean could probably speak to that a little more, a couple of windows here, replacements here. So yeah, permitting has picked up. Within our permit fees, when permit fees are paid, even from the home building inspection, all the administrative costs, all the costs related to permitting are borne by the developer or the builders. So that funding position that worked in that full time, before the funding for that part-time person used to pretty well be handled, except for not our contractors, used to come out of general fund. And now the permitting has allowed it to cover part of my salary, because I'm involved in permitting 100% of the permitting salaries and benefits and things along that line. And that's all being borne by the builders and developers. So there's a little bit of a lot busier, but there's a net benefit because now there's an income source to pay for that.
Do you anticipate, I guess, having to fill additional positions with close to 240 additional homes?
No, because Willow Ridge is coming offline. I don't know what the build out. I mean, I think the market's slowing down a little bit, but I feel comfortable with the staff we have, at least for the building department, and utilizing our consultants to finish that. Alpha Inspections, who we used, has merged with Wildan Inspections, or Wildan, who's actually done some rate studies for us, and that has opened them up to additional inspectors if needed. And we never used to have a dedicated fire inspector. Now we have a dedicated fire inspector that's with Wildan. So really it's our technology we invested in, and we're going to actually improve that here shortly this year sometime, has really helped us process the stuff through. Some things take more time than we want to. Honestly, the killer time is home builder permits, when a person does their own permitting, the back and forth. In fact, I think the owner of the downtown business came and mentioned how frustrated he was through the process, and I took the time, and I'm going to share that with the council. I think there was 14 back and forth reviews of him not actively answering the comments in a way that was satisfactory going forward. And so those are the things that are taking more staff time. The permitting process from usually these builders, once they get a couple going, they do a pretty good job moving forward.
So just, I guess, to, paraphrase a little bit. So you don't anticipate any additional positions being needed in the future with the 2 PUDs that were approved?
None at this time. I mean, conditions could change. I mean, if a builder came in and said, hey, we want to build 100 homes at a time and just build the thing out, kind of like the American Homes for Rent, yeah, that could change.
How about Bella Colina? They stated specifically they're going to build out in one phase.
Correct, but when they do, usually when they're talking phase, they're talking the infrastructure in the ground. When you usually see the developments phase, which Willow Ridge did, they built the infrastructure for phase 1, so the water lines and the fire hydrants, the sewer lines, all that went in phase 1. Then they started building houses. Then they came back and did the infrastructure. Doesn't mean they're going to build all the houses at once. And actually, phase 1 is less, doing everything in one phase for infrastructure is less work for the town, because we don't have to be out there twice. Once it's done as we go through the process. I can say right now with the current workload, the workload is really busy right now. We're doing a lot of permitting and a lot of water permits with the Hills of Montverde. I think it's going to settle down a little bit middle of next year, but I think we're okay keeping up with what we have. One of the things I've been doing is cross-training. Iman, who's assisted me, I've been having to spend some time in permitting in case there is a load issue there or something happens to our permitting official. There's someone to, get in there and assist with that in the meantime. So we're doing a lot of cross-training, trying to get that situation, because that would be the thing that would hurt the most at this point, the redundancy there.
Yeah, and the reason why I'm asking this is just, I kind of worry a little bit that we could get stretched out too thin between all the ambitious grants for stormwater and, obviously the permitting on these. And so, that was just.
Yeah, it's a busy time, and I think council needs to be cognitive of that. And I know we all want to do extra things and extra events and do things. Those take a lot of staff time, and we just need to be aware it's a busy time. We're never going to have this opportunity to have this much money anytime again in the town's history. I mean, we're built out on development. The grant money is just, it's absurd to have this much money. So the focus, I'm asking as your manager, really, we need to focus on completing the stuff we have going. We can still work on our projects and do some things, but we just need to be cognitive as we want to add a program, as we want to have different things. We do need to look at the staffing of that and not just say, hey, let's just add this. It doesn't cost much to add it, because anything we add is going to add more time to staff. And most of the staff, a permitting has a lot to do with water utilities and the auditing we got to do in the utilities and the payments that Maya does in finance. So it touches the grants, and the development touches all departments, every department. Public Works locates everything, gets taxed. So we just got to be cognitive that I know there's a lot of things we want to do as a council and as staff that we would love to do more for our residents. There's going to be a time and a place for that. But the big picture is in front of us right now, or we need to look at temporary adding staff to do those things if we want to do them.
He just got done doing 230 homes for Willow Ridge, and with the staff we have, plus he added a couple positions. We have 102 at Bella Colina and 137 with this one. Both of those developments are far from building houses right now and needing permits. So, I mean, it's going to take them, how long you figure it take those guys to get Willow Ridge, Osgood property.
Yeah, I mean, Osgood's
dirt
going
moved
to
and
be, it's going to
everything
be 9 months if everything went great for
So-
infrastructure.
So figure a year, and then they're going to start permitting. But we just did 230 homes with the staff we have. So it's a safe bet.
Yeah, and as in the past, as your manager, you know, it's in my title, I'll keep communicating with you, and that's why we had to increase staff, and, you know, and obviously my workload got busy, and I appreciate the help you given me, so I'll keep communicating as we go through the process, and, you know, we'll have to have some flexibility in the budget if something comes up. You know, we may need to add if I'll do my best not to, because, you
We
know,
need them to start working overtime before they need any help.
we are.
More comp time?
You know, they're far from that, let me tell you.
So once all these grant programs and capital projects are coming to an end, that'll probably be around the same time frame that these developments are really taking off. So there could be some transition from some of the employees that are focusing on that to help with permitting in that aspect, or?
I mean, different times have different things, so you're right. So the permitting's busiest at the time of house building generally. There is some permitting stuff and review stuff on Sean's thing. The busiest time for Public Works is at the beginning of the grant projects, because we're going to get tons of locates. You know, on Lakeside, the water line got hit 3 times. The gas line got hit 4, you know, because things aren't where they're supposed to be. You know, there's magic lines that appear that no one has on a map. So we will have those things that come up. It's going to tax Public Works, tax myself, but they're going to be different departments at different times. But you're correct. Then we'll calm down, then they'll pick up, kind of thing. If there's any issue, honestly, where I see it's going to be in Public Works, where staff's going to be an issue, because that's always been a struggle a little bit. And we've contract out the mowing, all that, appreciate it, the landscaping contracted out. So, but just the sheer amount of locates could be an issue going forward. So we'll keep an eye on that as we get moving.
One last thing to voice, it's more of a comment,
Yes.
and this is for obviously staff and council, but we just got to keep in mind that obviously there's grants, there's 2 PUDs, there's a lot of moving parts, but we got to keep in mind that the residents can't get neglected or their needs. So that's just some food for thought, I guess, as we go through this year. Thank you, Paul.
Yeah. Thank you. And I think we, as staff, have been doing a good job of that. We're, I think, holding more events than we've ever had in town and trying to grow those events. We're paving side roads and trying to take care of sidewalks and cracks. And, you know, sometimes the process just takes some long time because we get tied up on other things. But, you know, we're always doing our best to meet those needs. And honestly, the new library is a game changer. I think it's just really doing a great job allowing better communication with our community, our citizens, and having them come in for those services. So we'll always continue to improve that.
All righty. So where are we at now? The budget actual?
Get where we're at. So council, if you could turn over to your finance report. I try to do this once a year, and I apologize. I know if it bores a lot of you, but it's important. And numbers are always fun to look at, but if you can jump over to your finance report, section B, I guess it is. Oops. I think we went away. Sorry, one second.
How I like to teach the report is the percentages that we put on the right side column. Do you guys notice that? So if it's 4 months in, we're a third of the way through the year.
Get me there.
So if you just
I'm gonna have you
go down the right side of the numbers, we purposely did that quite a few years ago, and it worked. You can scan right down the
just want to turn the page.
the numbers and see the percentage. And if it's like 80% right now, well, that's something you need to look at. Just trying to help you with that.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So I wanted to spend a little bit, not only just really going on the numbers, but going what all the numbers mean to make sure when you look at a report and we understand what all the numbers are reflecting, and I'll try to move as quick as possible because some of it may be redundant, but if everybody can start on page 3. See, that'll move people out. Start talking budget. So real quick, available cash fund. So this amount is the dollar amount we have in the bank. Just to be clear, that's what the cash is we have in bank. Restricted funds. Those are funds that are dedicated to, usually by statute, sometimes by other means, to a particular project. So those are your impact fees. Those are your water funds. So they can't be used for anything. They have to be used what they're designated for. Unrestricted funds the council can use for whatever they want to use. So that's your available cash if you want to have a block party or have a festival or whatever. Those are your funds you have available to use whatever you want to, sidewalks, streets, etc. Flipping on to the next page, which is page 4. This will show you your beginning bank balance. That beginning bank balance, if all works right, should be the balance that was the ending balance at the month prior before. Then you'll see your revenues. Those are the monies coming in. The expenditures obviously is the money going out. Your balance, the pending outstanding liabilities. Those are checks we have written but have not cleared. So they aren't going to get. They're shown there so you can see what they are. Then that's what's your available cash you have available. Earlier I talked about restricted funds. You can see those are a list of all the restricted funds the town has. Most of those are mandated by statute. So, impact fee funds, water cash deposits, water fund is its own enterprise. Our ARPA funds are in there, et cetera, or your grant funds will be in there. Flipping over to page 5. So this is where we kind of start. This is us breaking it down to make the next couple hundred pages look easy for you if you want a quick overview, a quick glance. So on page 5, the first thing tells you we're 33% in our budget year. So, we're a third way through your budget year. As the mayor said, we put percentages in there for you to help you. So when you look at revenues, our revenues were at 54% received of what we had budgeted. So we're ahead, we're doing good. And generally revenues will always be ahead because general fund, because we get our property taxes at the beginning of the year, and that's a big swath of $500,000 in all in one month. Expenditures, we're at 26% of the 33%. You can kind of see what those are. Water fund, the water fund, the general fund is its own category. Those funds stay separated. Then we jump in the water fund. Our revenues are at 37%, so we're ahead of projections, just where we want to be. And again, the expenditures are 26%. As your manager, we're not budgeting too much expenditures. You always see your expenditures low. You will always see those low because my management philosophy is a lot of large projects. We get at least a third year through the budget year before we do major purchases. Like, this year we have a pickup in the budget for the water department. So I want to make sure the revenues are coming in to match before I make capital expenditures or big project expenditures. So that's why we approve the budget in September, but I always try to keep that low, keep exactly what we have to spend to make sure we have the revenue. Because if there was a problem, then I would slow the spending down to match, so we don't end up in a deficit situation. Then again, so as you go down, you can see the different percentages. Real quick, I want to show you on page 7. This is going to be your capital fund. So these are your grants, and sometimes impact fees are in there. So this one's always going to be the opposite. Your revenues are always going to be less than your expenditures because we have to spend the money for us to send in the reimbursement to get the money back. So unlike all the other funds you saw that were positive first with the revenues, your revenues were high and your expenditures were low. This one's always going to have your expenditures high and your revenues low. Does that make sense, everybody? Okay. Then the next is just general fund, and I'm going to go through these really quick. General fund revenue, so those are just all of our fund categories where we break where the money comes in. They're estimates. If you flip the page, you'll see the Park and Rec Impact Fee Fund. You'll see the road streets. And why you have all these separate pages, and I think this is where someone gets confused, we're required to keep each of these budget funds separate. They can't be commingled with general funds. In fact, impact fees, it's against state statute. So we create their own funds. So each one of these has its own revenue fund like the general budget. So you really have to start flipping through each one of those. That's your revenue. So if you flip through up to page, Flip up to page 20. And that's where it starts your detail of your expenditures. And under the statute, each of those different fund categories, what we care about really is the bottom number. Where are we at on our spending, our year to date, the percentage? The numbers that we have in the middle, those are just estimates for tracking for future years. We can go over, we could stay under, we could not spend. That's just to help us track as staff and as council, like, hey, where are we spending extra money so we know where to budget next year. What it comes down to when I have to do a budget amendment, if that bottom number is going to go over. So you can see town council, we're at 33% of the budget year. We've only spent 28%. We're doing good. And you can kind of fly through each of those and kind of see that. So then all the rest of the pages are expenditures. And then again, it'll break down into the fund category. Then the final thing you'll see is the check register in there. So that's a real high overview. I encourage every council member, come sit down with me in my office, and I'd love to go more in depth with you and really get into the budget a little further. It is one, you know, as council members, as you know, and you guys do a great job because you always call and ask me questions out of the budget or what's going on. It is one of the most important things. You guys are that final watch that goes over. You know, we have an intensive review process for checks are written where the mayor looks things over for checks. It comes from a department head. It goes to she creates the invoice. It comes for me. I review it. Depending on the limit, I sign off on it. I review the checks and sign off them before the mayor reviews the checks. Then it's put in here for public to look at, for you to look at. So be actively involved and look at that because, you know, you never know, right? You guys need to be that watch. And secondly, the budget, it is your most important policy document. I've said this, that every time we start budget, we're going to start budget in about 2 months. We're going to start talking about budget. I can't do anything as your manager if you don't give me money to do it. If something's important to you, we got to figure out how to work it in the budget. So it's the most important policy document because whatever in here dictates what I do as your town manager and as we do as your staff. So I just want to leave you with that final thought. I'll be glad to answer any questions if you have it.
So with that being said, Paul, is it possible to get this in Excel file?
Probably.
Okay.
I'll have to ask that finance. I would assume.
Okay. And then question. So
and realize that different parts are generated. Like some of it, like all those front pages, your finance director generates those first 6 pages from the information she gets from those reports. But I think we can download the actual report that has the percentage breakdown in Excel format.
Awesome. And then just a hypothetical question. If we stop receiving income right now, how many months do we have in reserves for the town to continue to function?
Quite a bit.
11.
Yeah, I believe the government, accounting recommends that every city have a minimum of 3 months reserves, I believe is what the number is. I have to double check on that. And in our general fund, we have 1.8 million, which is almost close to a year's worth of budget because we'll cut back, obviously, if we never got another penny. Then our water department, we've done a great job in there. We definitely got a year of reserves in there as well.
Yeah, we're talking about giving water away next year.
No, we're not. Strike that statement. But yeah, our cash position. What really gets towns in trouble if they go into long-term debt. You know, you have a general obligation where for the next 30 years you're paying for this rec center with the pool, and all of a sudden revenues go down. Your first priority as council, you have to pay that bond. You don't have a choice, and that's when everything else starts getting chopped on that. So, thank you, Brian.
We're going to have the most funded water system in the whole world because our tank's going to be brand new. Pipes in the ground are going to be pretty much brand new. A lot of places, all our fire hydrants are going to be brand new, and we already had $1 million in the bank.
Yeah, I mean our water system just really the transformation from of trying to struggle and keep it up with general fund monies has just really changed over the last 5 to 6 years. We're in a position that, because again, when I came here, it was, can we get a portion of grants and how much are we going to have to finance for this new water tower? And, you know, we were having that 4 to 5 million quiet conversation that no one wants to do. And, you know, what a blessing we're at as a community to have this.
Double the water meters in 5 years.
Yes.
Double. Because they have 2 water meters in each house in Willow Ridge, and 2 water meters in each house in Apaca Sound, which pretty much doubled it. So that's double the building. That's good.
Yeah, and really, that's been really one of our key, because when they looked at it, it was 2016 or 17, I think they passed a resolution when the council did a study, and it was mandatory every year. When you looked at study, I believe it was more than 5%. The council ended up doing 5% a year, every year increases, and there was a long ways to go just to make it, viable, where it cash flowed. And, as you know, the last 3 years, we've froze that increase. The only thing that would really stop the increase, if they do pass this property tax, we're gonna have to take a look at that. We may have to go back to doing that because we may have some issues, but we're doing really good. And I guess it's kind of that Walmart mom and pop thing. The more people you have on the system, the cheaper it is to run. It costs more to run a bigger store, but you're selling bulk and relying less. If there's a $100,000 expense, it's cheaper to spread it among 1,000 households than 500 households. And that's kind of where we're getting at as the town. Our system's getting robust, where even if there was something that was big or dramatic we didn't plan for, the revenues coming in is going to put the town in a good position where it can deal with that.
Okay.
Thank you, council.
That's it, right? Let's do the 5-year strategic plan.
Yes.
I don't know about rushing this one. I'm thinking maybe, because this one I think we need to put a lot of time into.
I really wasn't going to do much at all, Mayor. So,
okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I just really want to explain what it is and get council thinking about it. I mean, different towns do different types of strategic plan. We did one 5 years ago. It's actually a requirement in my contract that the council puts in, and it's a planning document. It's a big horizon document. It's what we want to be as a town looking forward, so we can keep striving for that. And I put the strategic plan in a slide point for you to look at, start consideration. This will be future workshops. Look at what the council did 5 years ago. Consider what you would like changed, or what you would like emphasized, or what you would like to stay the same moving forward. And I'll just let you kind of slowly click through those slides as I talk. So yeah, I don't want to, no intention of going deep into this today. It's to start the discussion. It's okay if this takes a year to do. It's okay if we take our time to talk about it and we go one step at a time. It's okay if we do it in a month. It's completely up to the council. It's a guiding document to help move forward, even as council members change, as staff change. When I got here, it became very clear, hey, we want to stay that small community town. We want to try to limit growth as much as we can within the context we can legally. We want to encourage that small town community event, and we need to deal with water infrastructure because it's a problem. I mean, those were the things that you see really highlighted at the time. And now, like our water infrastructure, it's changing a little bit because it's moved on. We're meeting some of those goals that we had in that strategic plan. Not all of them. There were some, revived downtown businesses. That's been kind of flat. But now we got some money to improve the road and infrastructure in there. The council talked about a CRA as a possibility and something you could still consider. There's a lot of different incentives or tools that we can do for some of those. So think about it, give some thought to it. I'd like to talk about it at a future meeting. It's an important document. You'll see the capital improvement plan come through every year. We redo that, and we'll keep that looking forward. That'll come probably in March or April when we go through that one. Any
Paul,
questions? Yes.
And I'll be happy to share this, but actually I kind of worked on the strategic plan on my own. It's 4 pages long. It kind of just outlines like the bones and structure of it. I kind of took, the information that I saw when I was, on the other side as a resident, which I'm still in, but, now on council, obviously there's other things. But I just broke it down. It's pretty, I would say, it represents Montverde pretty well. Obviously, we could build on this, subtract from it, or not use it at all. But I did revise the vision, mission statements, core values, something that I did on there for the strategic focus areas. And I won't go through the whole thing, and I'll provide it as well, but just so you kind of have an idea of what I kind of put down. For the focus areas, community character and quality of life, responsible infrastructure, environmental stewardship, responsible growth and land use planning, fiscal sustainability, organizational excellence, and service delivery. And then some additional strategic focus areas: communications and technology, community amenities, environmental resiliency and sustainability, and good governance, infrastructure, planning, growth, and multimodal transit. And then I also did a few more for the priority goals for immediate focus. Responsive customer service, water quality protection, accountable leadership, and preserving small town charm. So again, I'll send you the PDF. I'll give you a hard copy now as well.
Yeah, and if you wouldn't mind, if you could email that, and if you're okay with it, when we do the workshop on it, let me include that in the packet, and that way you can go, if you're okay with that, it can go out to other council members and the public could look at that.
I'll give you the hard copy now.
Okay, and likewise, council members, if you wanna, you can either fill out some of those spots or create your own document. I'll put it in the packet so other council members can start looking at that and start thinking about it as we go forward. Okay?
One last thing. I believe that we need 3 ingredients to come up with a really good, 5-year strategic plan. Obviously, it must align with our budget. Of course, the opinions of staff and council needs to also, be included in that. Most important, we do need feedback from the community. We do need to hear from our residents what they want to see as well. If we miss any of those ingredients, we might as well not even do a strategic plan. So just putting it out there.
Alrighty. Anybody else want to talk to the council? Any council people want to talk about anything? Carol? Alrighty. Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Ayes, got it.